Oh, no!
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, April 9th, 2023. This is your award-winning Gibbon Nation Media Assassination episode 1545.
This is No Agenda.
Leaky buckets and leaked documents and broadcasting live from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're all wondering why Tommy Chong wants us to get rid of our CBD. Why? I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
He better be asking us to get rid of it to exchange it for THC.
I don't know. I don't know why.
What is he saying? You brought it up.
Yeah, it's in all the ads at the bottom of all the web pages.
What does it say?
Clickbait.
Oh, okay. I missed all of this. I had no idea that was happening.
Huh.
Clickbait. I do not pay it. I don't look at the bottom of the page. I'm top of the page kind of guy.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Speaking of clickbait, first of all, do you think that my prediction of Elon Musk ruining Twitter is coming true? Can we say that I'm kind of there yet, or do we have a little more to go?
Oh, I think a long way to go.
I love, this latest fracas that took place over the weekend, where you could no longer post a link to your Substack on Twitter. You follow this?
Yeah, I've been meaning to check that. And
I'm just so surprised. People like our friend Molly Wood, all upset and outraged. And I'm like,
oh no!
I said, at what point did you not know that you were the product? Do you not remember that this was all free and this was just a free for all, and that you're just a piece of meat in this big tech grinder? And people are all surprised, like, why won't you allow that? Come on.
Well, I'm not even sure it's true. I do know he's got some new scheme called Create.
Oh, what's this? What's this now? I don't know about Create.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do tell. What's the Create stuff?
Yeah, I think if you go to twitter.com/create, if you're logged in, they'll send you to the page.
Oh.
They want you to do all kinds of different stuff, which they'll pay you for, including what it appears to me to be a Substack clone.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So crazy thought. There's a competitor and he wants to kick him off. Well, that makes kind of sense, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes total sense.
Yeah. Oh, people are outraged. Although, smart people like Brett Weinstein, they get into this. I'm like, whoa, Bill, it's like, here's why Elon is doing this. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on, man, You're smart. Don't even participate in this nonsense. And then Elon replies, Substack links were never blocked. Oh, no, this was Matt Taibbi. He also was in this, Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi's like, he was all mad, and Brett Weinstein jumped into it, and then Elon says, no. Matt's statement is false. Substack was, here's what I like. Substack was trying to download a massive portion of the Twitter database to bootstrap their Twitter clone. So their IP address is obviously untrusted. Now, this sounds true.
Oh, wait a minute. So there's a Twitter clone from Substack? No wonder they're doing a Substack clone.
Yeah. Well, it's called Notes, I guess, which I don't have Substack. I don't have the app. I don't participate in any of that. So I guess when you think about
I do, and I've never heard of this.
Tina hadn't heard of it either, and she helps some people out with some Substacks. But apparently Notes, it sounds right. A tweet, a note, that would make sense. Sounds a bit like Nostr, but I'll just leave that for what it is. And then the big surprise, Elon tweets.
By the way, what is this nostril you keep talking about?
I told you about nostril. I told you nostril is like a. Is it
like Gab?
No, it's a set of technologies bundled together. It's Nostr, Nostr, but I like nostril better, so we're sticking with that. And it means notes and other things over relays. So, it's kind of like a hub and spoke model, but you own your identity.
Hub and spoke model for what?
For anything. So the first thing that has been made is like a social media network, like a Twitter thing. It's like Twitter on meth. because, it burps and it farts and it's all over the place. But people, and it has payment, Lightning Bitcoin network payment built in. So people, instead of liking, people are zapping each other with little bits of money. So there's a lot of excitement around that from of course, from the Bitcoin crowd. And Jack Dorsey is the guy who's put a lot of money into. No one can own it, so no one can become a huge winner of this. Just people doing it to, they call it censorship resistant. And so you own your identity with a public and private key, and then you can put it into any app, and all your stuff shows up, and it's fun. I think there's something to it. As you know, I picked the hit, so I'm keeping my eye on it. But it's, as I think I told you before, do not try it yourself yet. You're not ready for this. You will hate it. But you can do all kinds of stuff with it. You could create a Substack clone. In fact, there is one, habla.news. And
you hate Mastodon now?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I don't hate
like a competitor.
A totally competitor, but Mastodon works, But
why don't you stand for something?
Why don't you blow me? Don't tell me what. Hey,
you can't be all over the map here with Nostril and this and that and Parler.
Parler. I don't think we've even had a Parler account. Parler. All right, now you're just insulting me. Stop this. It's something interesting. There is something interesting to it. And we'll see. There's been lots of things. It's like, right now it's kind of like Tor. And you don't use Tor. I don't use Tor.
I use Tor all the time.
No, you do not.
Yeah, you do.
You use a Tor browser?
No, I don't. Didn't say Tor browser.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do you use Tor?
I use Tor when I download things.
That's torrent.
I thought it was BitTor.
Yeah, that's something different. That's different. Tor is, man.
You talking about the Onion? You talking about the Onion?
It is an Onion technology. Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's no good. Everyone knows that's bull crap.
Hey, happy Easter, John. One more thing about Twitter, because this struck me this morning. With all the changes Elon's making, I have no engagement on Twitter. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. I post something, no one sees it, I guess, shadow banned or whatever. People are still getting kicked off for all kinds of odd reasons. Oh, by the way, now there's a former president affiliate badge you can get on Twitter. And of course, Obama has one and Clinton has one, but Trump doesn't have one. He didn't get the affiliate badge showing you're a former president, which I think is just funny. But how about this? What if Elon is a FedNow partner and he's going to roll out with perhaps the most already adopted, fully integrated payment wallet system of them all in July?
Okay, we'll find out.
Yeah, it hit me. It's like, well, that would make sense. Because he doesn't want to deal with a CBDC. He doesn't want to wait for all that nonsense. He needs to get going now. He's in trouble. You can't tell me this is going great for him.
I don't know.
You don't know. I know. No. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that, just to get us into it. So yes, happy Easter, John. Happy Easter.
And happy Easter to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you and your family. Well, speaking of social networks, I think this latest trove of leaked documents that have been posted on social media, nowhere else, only on social media, I'm pretty sure that that may accelerate the Restrict Act. What do you think?
The what act?
Restrict Act, the so-called TikTok Act?
I don't know. I can't see a connection.
Well, hold on.
As the U.S. arms and trains Ukraine ahead of its expected spring offensive, documents containing details of the buildup appeared on social media.
By the way, it's all social media, not the internet, social media. By the way, this is the CIA broadcasting systems.
The funny thing is I've never found it on social media. I found it on the internet on different various sites.
This is why my assertion.
So why do they keep saying this? What is the point?
So that we can rush the Restrict Act through. which is meant for so-called for TikTok, but it'll be for everything. They'll use it to have complete control over social media. You see,
documents containing details of the buildup appeared on social media. One, titled "Status of the Conflict as of 1 March," is marked top secret and appears to be a daily update provided to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Is this just embarrassing, or does it do real damage to the cause of...
And ask the question, man. Stop pausing.
...defeating Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
I think it's both. Undermining confidence between the cooperation of the United States and NATO and Ukraine, and also within the U.S. government, distracting us when we should be entirely focused on supporting Ukraine.
But former U.S. ambassador to Russia, now CBS News contributor John Sullivan, points out some of the information appears to be doctored.
Elevating Ukrainian casualties beyond a level that the U.S. believes has actually occurred, and vastly understating Russian casualties. So it makes Russia look good, makes Ukraine look bad.
The document puts the number of Russians killed in action at 16 to 17,500, wildly different from what General Mark Milley recently told Congress.
As you know, publicly, the Russians have well over 200,000 casualties.
Another update, marked secret, gives the expenditure rates for Ukrainian artillery, a number the Pentagon has not disclosed.
Yeah, so I got a couple more clips on this. I'm sure you do as well. Just listening to this from CBS is perfect for this. You know, they've got the former ambassador to Russia. Yeah, a spook we had in Moscow is now a spook on the Spook Network.
David, having looked at these now public records, what stood out to you?
These now public records. This is all very interesting language.
Before you go any further, I want to make a couple of comments about the first clip.
Sure.
That was David, what's his name, their main guy.
Yeah,
for
David Martin.
Yeah, for putting the CIA messages across the network.
Yes, we like that. It's a good guy.
He's got a nice voice.
Yeah.
The Gray Zone website did a whole series of analyses of the number of dead based on what we've said over the years in terms of how many are dying a week, and they put it all together, and it turns out that the number in those documents is accurate.
Ooh, no,
by our own commentary over the last year.
Yes,
so that's bull crap. Now the Russian side of it, of course, you know, Miley 200,000 versus what the document said, which is on a 16 or something.
Yeah.
Gee. Let's go back to the Vietnam War or any time before that where we've exaggerated to an extreme. The Pentagon always does this, exaggerates the death on the other side as though, you know, they just can't walk across the street without getting hit by a car.
Well,
that we have to assume that's bull crap too. So the document, the so-called doctored part, might be doctored, but it's not. That's not where it's doctored. It would be elsewhere.
I think this is the clip of Miley lying. You say exaggerate, but I just call it lying.
David, having looked at these now public records, what stood out to you?
The fact that they're public.
Exactly.
You know, there's
what I find interesting. I think this is Pixie Lady, you know, who used to be at Fox and went to CBS. She laughs a lot. She's laughing a lot about this. She's chuckling throughout everything. And so when she said, what stood out for you about this? He's like, well, the fact they're public. She's like, oh, there's more of that. And I didn't notice it until I was listening to the clips again this morning.
The fact that they're public.
Exactly.
You know, there's a lot of classified information over here, and classified information leaks all the time. Sometimes it's deliberate, sometimes not. But rarely do the underlying classified documents leak. And that's what happened in this case. These documents...
What? Hold on a second. What did he say?
All right, listen again.
But rarely do the underlying classified documents leak.
So he says classified information is leaked all the time on purpose. Yeah, we know that. But rarely is it the actual documents that underlie the information. That's what he said.
Now, my understanding is that this actually stems from a slideshow and a handout.
Yeah. Yeah, a PowerPoint, in fact.
Yeah, a PowerPoint and a handout, and which somebody, you give a handout, it's going to leak. So this is not the underlying classified documentation. This is from a presentation. So he's full of crap right there.
I think PowerPoint and a handout is a great title for a country song. I don't know why, but it just feels good.
PowerPoint and a handout is what I got today. Instead of kisses on my lips, that's all I got, in fact.
To say. Yeah, nice. Nailed it.
But rarely do the underlying classified documents leak. And that's what happened in this case.
Wait a minute. Stop. If you parse it, you can interpret what he said as the underlying documents did not leak.
Oh, that's another way of interpreting it. Let's listen. Let's go back to the videotape.
But rarely do the underlying classified documents leak.
Yeah, which is not what this was, because this was
PowerPoint presentation
and a handout.
And that's what happened in this case.
They didn't. Oh, well, it all depends on how you parse it. I like what you're saying. I don't think most people would parse it that way, but it's possible.
That's maybe what he meant.
Could be. He's a spook after all.
These documents are carried around the building in a pouch. Hand to hand.
Now he's talking about the underlying documents. He's not talking about the PowerPoint. Right?
It could be. I'm not going to argue with you.
These documents are carried around the building in a pouch. Hand to hand. Somewhere in that chain, somebody was able to photograph these documents and then get them up on social media.
There it is, social media. Bad social. Get him up on social media. I'm telling you, this is a false flag for no social media.
I'm not going to, again, I won't argue with you on the fact that they keep emphasizing social media when these things are everywhere.
That's my point.
Yeah, it's bullcrap. Their social media aspect of it is what? Where? I couldn't find it on social media.
Right. So do you understand why I'm saying that this would be a great...
No, I understand completely.
Okay.
You believe that this is a scam to promote this restrict
part
act,
of it,
which is
at least part of it.
A death knell for freedom of speech if that thing ever gets through.
Yeah, and you won't be allowed to use a VPN to go around any restrictions.
Yeah, just like China.
Free and open internet, baby.
Boy, sounds like a insider problem, insider threat almost.
Why is she laughing again? She's supposed to be very serious. This is a serious...
Is this Nora?
No, this is a pixie lady. The pixie girl from Fox.
Harridge?
Yes. This is Harridge.
Oh, because she must be read in on the scam that is going on, and she can't keep a straight face.
She think it's so funny. Oh yeah, and she said that, and notice she doesn't say an inside job. She says an insider job. What even is that? Listen again.
Boy, sounds like a insider problem, insider threat almost.
Insider threat. Isn't it an inside threat, inside problem? That just would be the normal... and she's laughing again. Wouldn't that be the normal parlance?
I don't know.
Boy, sounds like a insider problem, insider threat almost.
Well, I couldn't even understand what she said in that second.
Sounds like an insider problem, an insider threat almost. Ha ha.
Huh.
I'm going to play it one more time.
Boy, sounds like a insider problem, insider threat almost.
Inside her problem.
I think it is. It's it could be.
Why is she laughing? Hold on. Are we not supposed to believe this is a dire violation of our national security? That this is a horrible problem, that our weapon systems, our strategy is out on social media for all of the world to see with more documents to come. Why is she laughing about this? Should this be no laughing matter?
You're on the money on this. Catching her laughing like a maniac. She's almost like a psycho.
I think it is. It could be.
Unless they're flirting.
Somebody.
The dude is 100 years old.
Is this Miley, right?
No, this is David Martin.
Oh, this is David Martin. I thought, okay. Well, but he sounds. It's funny they sound similar. Oh, yeah. Well, maybe they still are flirting. Who knows? You never know.
Hey,
I mean, the guy may have some attributes that are attractive to women.
Wow, you're in a fine mood today, aren't you?
It could be a fluke. Somebody, somebody turned their back for a minute, or
a fluke. A fluke. What? A fluke.
Turn your back from. Hold on a second. They're walking. They're going hand to hand with the pouch.
Here's the pouch.
But somebody turned their back for a minute.
Like, hey, look over there. What? It was a fluke. Why even use the... I'm flabbergasted by this. I'm really... you're right. They're rid. This
is so deconstructible. So much fun.
It is fun.
Or somehow it got sent to somebody it shouldn't have been sent to, and then got printed out. And
wait a minute,
pouch.
Hey, what's this pouch? This shouldn't be in my office. Let me see what's in here.
I don't think this pouch belongs here. What's in it? I don't know what this is. I better take a picture of it and post it on social media.
I just get this idea. Well, I mean, our nation's top secrets, our national security in a pouch. And what you want is ironclad safe with handcuff to someone's wrist. No, pouch from hand to hand. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say? I wasn't looking.
Or somehow it got sent to somebody it shouldn't have been sent to, and then got printed out. And wait
a minute, got printed out? What do you mean? I thought there were documents in a pouch.
Yeah, there you go. What is he talking about? Printed out?
I know, but apparently he's
was it? A thumb drive floating around?
I guess.
Photographed. So one of the key things that they'll be looking...
if you're going to print it out, where are you going to photograph? Why don't you just send the contents of the thumb drive around?
Because it needs to go on social media. It makes so much
wrinkled
sense.
Old document. And by the way, how did it get all wrinkled up like that? You saw these pictures.
Folded, yeah, it was folded because it was in the pouch.
That was on a thumb drive and printed out. And then what is he print it out and then wrinkle it up and take a picture? What is this?
Put it in his back pocket, to walk out.
Photographed. So one of the key things that they'll be looking for here is the length of the period of time that these documents cover. Right now, from what I've seen, it seems to be a very specific point in time, the end of February, beginning of March. But we're getting now news of all these additional documents, 50 or more classified documents.
Yep, she's laughing again. I hadn't even noticed this one. Listen to her laugh again.
Now news of all these additional documents, 50 or more classified documents.
She can't contain herself. When he goes into now we hear news of 50 more documents, she goes, and then she goes, she starts snickering. What is going on with this? Listen again.
Point in time, the end of February, beginning of March. But we're getting now news of all these additional documents, 50 or more classified documents, which are also now starting to show up on social media. And these cover not just Ukraine, but other parts of the world as well.
I have not seen the new 50 documents show up on social media. Fifth time you said it.
I haven't either.
Highly suspect this.
What? So...
And she knows it's bullcrap. She knows it.
Well, she's obviously in on the fact that it's bullcrap. But what is he making these assertions pre-timed? Do they have a timeline and he's like jumped the gun on this?
Maybe. I mean, I only heard about the additional documents this morning. I have not found any additional documents on social. Maybe
if there was anything that showed up on social media, we would have both gotten it in our email from the vast hordes of social media watchers out there that are always looking for material for the show.
Yeah. Maybe it's on Nostril.
It might be on Nostril. Could be on Signal. Parlor.
Let's listen to the ABC version, a very short version of this report.
The Pentagon is investigating the possible leak of classified documents about the war in Ukraine, which were posted on social media. The documents reportedly show plans for boosting the Ukrainian military. The New York Times reports some details on the documents seem to be different from the originals, according to military analysts.
Now, we have a longer report from ABC.
Hold on a second. One more thing.
This is good. Social media.
Notice
social media.
Well, besides the social media thing, I think we all accept the fact that you're right on that.
Okay.
They keep hounding the social media point.
It's fun.
But if this is classified, why would they be getting information saying that the information is bogus according to other experts in the way she puts it? They gave it to the Pentagon or somebody looked at it and says, no, that's not right. This is doctor than that. If it's classified, you don't say anything, right? Am I wrong?
Correct. And she can't even show it on television. Remember, she can't even read it herself. If she comes across these documents and she reads it and it's truly top secret, she's in violation. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember Chris Cuomo telling us that?
Fact.
Let's go back to ABC.
Urgent investigation by the Pentagon after classified documents related to Ukraine, Iran, North Korea, and other regions were posted online. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House. Karen, good morning to you.
Now, he said online. Okay, so finally we have something just a little more
he'll get scolded.
Good morning, Gio. The Justice Department is investigating how these top secret documents from the Pentagon were leaked.
Now, wait a minute. Why is the Justice Department in on this now? What's up with that?
I think they investigate when there's a classified leak. They're the ones who have to throw the book at someone.
Oh, it seems like it was all Pentagon over on CBS, and ABC has got the Justice Department involved. So it could be warring factions here. I don't know.
Good morning, Gio. The Justice Department is investigating how these top secret documents from the Pentagon were leaked and posted on social media.
Yeah, he is getting scolded. What a doofus, you moron. He's getting hotlined right as we speak.
And posted on social media. Pictures of the documents appeared on social media this week, but ABC News has learned that back in early March, dozens of classified documents were published online. They included sensitive details about China, North Korea, Iran's nuclear program, and the war in Ukraine. Some of these documents appear to be photos of slides from March 1st, showing how the U.S. and NATO were helping Ukraine in its fight against Russia. The photos, most of which we cannot show, include details about casualty numbers, training schedules, and weapons deliveries.
Most of which we cannot show. How about that?
No, wait a minute. Let's stop right here again.
Mm-hmm.
As we continue, and I will say it, beat this to death.
Yeah, I like it.
If it's on social media and it's on the internet, it's all over the place, and it's been posted already, that makes it, in fact, public domain.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they show it? Because they're stooges. Even, let's go back to, I don't know how many years ago we first discovered this. We kind of knew it, but we didn't know it completely until one of our people told us that he had a girlfriend who was working for the intelligence agency for the State Department, and she can't even go on to look at anything that is supposedly even though it's everyone in the world can see it. If you have clearance,
certain type of clearance,
if you have clearance, you can't look at it,
which makes so much sense.
So the network that says this obviously is working for one of the intelligence agencies.
Of course. And I think there's also an element of if we show this, we'll be cut off. We'll get no more information. Because she doesn't say why, just says which we can't show.
We're helping Ukraine in its fight against Russia. The photos, most of which we cannot show.
Our news.
Why can't a news operation? They have this. It's out there.
Yeah,
I can see it. I can if I can find it.
Can you show it?
But
to
if
me?
I found it, I can look at it. I can show it to you.
Yeah, exactly. I could post it.
Why can't they do it? This is a news, or this is the First Amendment we're talking about here.
Okay. All right. Woo!
We're helping Ukraine in its fight against Russia. The photos, most of which we cannot show, include details about casualty numbers, training schedules, and weapons deliveries, and a battle map of the key Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. Now, some of these photos are creased as if they were folded. One U.S. official tells ABC News the documents are no longer relevant to the battlefield, and they're of limited intelligence value.
Well, then
show them. Yeah, show Show them then.
Appear to have been altered from the original documents. But the fact that they were published online so quickly after they were produced on March 1st makes this already very big.
Hold on a second. It is now April 9th.
That's a month, almost a month and a half.
This has been floating out there since March 1st, and this is the first we're hearing of it. The reason why everyone's laughing is because this whole story is bullcrap. It's all bullcrap. It's made up.
Has to be.
It's made up. It's made up to embarrass somebody, maybe the Pentagon, probably to show that we need a way out of this war. Because let's be honest, this war is no good. Nothing has gone the way we want.
There is that element. The other element, I think, is the first element. Let's say you were I don't know, one of the intelligence guys from NSA, CIA, one of them, and you got invited to this slideshow.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint.
Hey, who has the deck?
A deck, right? A deck.
Who has the deck?
And so it could be foils.
Foils.
So anyway, so you're watching this and you're looking at this and you're looking around the room and there's a Afghani guy, there's another guy from MI6. You say, what is this? What are they showing this for? I am going to blow the lid off this by getting my copy. I'm going to put it on social media, the internet, and whatever. To get these guys to stop doing this sort of thing. This is stupid. And so this may be just what you said, in a way of embarrassing the idiots that put this together in the first place.
I wonder if it was a PowerPoint deck or if it was a spotlight.
Foils.
What's foils?
You know foils?
Oh, you mean overhead foils?
Yeah, that's what the IBM used to use just until a few years ago. They required everything to be on foils. That's what they call them, foils.
What do I call them? We call them overhead sheets, I guess.
Yeah, they're overhead, but they're generically referred to as foils, at least in the industry.
Oh, yeah. Well, not in the industry. I'm still thinking it's Spotlight. Apple's PowerPoint clone. I don't know. It's all fishy.
From the original documents. But the fact that they were published online so quickly after they were produced on March 1st makes this already very big leak an even more significant security breach and risk. The Pentagon tells us they are reviewing this matter.
Yeah. So, yeah. The only thing the reason they say that, there's been doctored is because of the lies of how many casualties there were. That's why that happened.
Yeah.
This is so bogative.
Oh no, they're blowing this up. I got the NTD version of this.
Oh, lovely. We love that.
This is NTD.
Hold on a second.
Leaked Pentagon docs.
All right.
Several documents of what appears to be secret information about the war in Ukraine have been leaked online. And if the documents prove to be true, it could mean U.S. troops are on the ground in Ukraine.
Oh.
NTD's Jason Perry takes a look at those documents.
The Pentagon is now investigating what appears to be secret documents about the war in Ukraine that were leaked online. They appear to be U.S. and NATO military documents with classification markings of secret and top secret. As of now, no official statements have been made about who was responsible for the alleged leak. In an email to NTD, the Pentagon gave us this statement. We are aware of the reports of social media posts, and the department is reviewing the matter.
Okay, so it's the Pentagon who are saying social media. If that is indeed their quote to them, it's the Pentagon who are saying we are aware of social media posts.
Exactly.
Okay.
In an email to NTD, the Pentagon gave us this statement. We are aware of the reports of social media posts, and the department is reviewing the matter. U.S. officials say the documents look like real slides from the Pentagon, but also say some of the information has been altered. For example, a document from March 2023 classified as secret.
Hold on a second. How can these documents be out in March 1st when they're dated March 23? There's a little discrepancy in the timeline here.
Oh, that's a good one. Good catch.
How does that work?
In an email to NTD, the Pentagon gave us this statement. We are aware of the reports of social media posts, and the department is reviewing the matter. U.S. officials say the documents look like real slides from the Pentagon, but also say some of the information has been altered. For example, a document from March 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry, March 2023. Okay. My mistake.
Classified as secret, says between 60,000 to 70,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed in action, which is higher than what the Pentagon says it estimates.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. It was the Russians who were less. I got it. Okay.
The documents also estimate Russia's casualties to be around 16,000 to 17,000. But U.S. officials say they estimate around 200,000 Russian troops have been killed in action. Another document, also classified as secret, is dated February 2023.
Oh.
It shows the amount of Western weapon systems that Ukraine currently has on hand and the estimated delivery of additional systems. And it also lists the training Ukrainian forces have or are expected to have on those systems.
So, Miley did lie to Congress. So someone's going to be, I'm sure Gates, someone will call him back and say, hey, you said this. This is what it says. What's going on? He's going to say, oh, no, that was doctored. Someone took it from the pouch. But this has to also somehow be part of the ending of the war. I feel it somehow.
Well,
no,
something's up. The other thing that's going on simultaneously is this Taiwan situation.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
Yeah, I just want to mention it in advance, which is that we can't do both.
No, of course not.
And so it looks like
the pivot. This may be the pivot point.
It might be, but let's go to part two of this.
The pivot PowerPoint.
The director of Grand Strategy at Quincy Institute, George Beebe, had this to say on the Hill.
One potential hypothesis here is that this was designed to get the Russians to let their guard down, to think that the Ukrainians are not going to be coming at them with big numbers and overwhelming force.
Psych.
And that's possible, but I think if you were really trying to throw the Russians off, you would want to include some things that would include where and when the Ukrainians might be attacking. That would be the ultimate aim of this kind of deception.
Something else that was shown in the documents is the presence of nearly 100 special operations troops in Ukraine from NATO countries, including from the United States, France, and the UK, according to the New York Post. Russia's Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said this in a statement to CNN. We don't have the slightest doubt about the direct and indirect involvement of the United States and NATO in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Well, of course, it makes the whole story more complicated, but it can't influence the final outcome of the special operation.
Was this some secret? Was this a secret that we were involved somehow in helping Ukraine? Was this like some top secret
this is
deal?
The interesting part of this report is that everybody else kind of downplayed the fact that in the leaked documents, it talked about the fact that we loaded up with a bunch of special forces guys and trainers and everything. They're all over there, and we've talked about this on our show because we had a specific person that was involved in being there in Ukraine in the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
And so it's a big, but I think they still think it's a secret. And so none of the other networks mention this.
I was like, wait a minute. Social media knows what we're up to. What? We can't have this. These guys are dopes. They're all such morons.
They could do a better job.
Yeah, they're dopes. Well, I agree. I think this is a pivot to China. Maybe China will be blamed. It would be nice, because that kind of falls in line with...
Or blame Trump.
No, he's blamed for Afghanistan.
Classic.
I think that it would fit nicer if, the Chinese did this. And this is what they should have said, and it could still happen. It turns out it leaked on TikTok because they haven't specified which social media yet.
Oh, that would be good.
How about that one? That would be the way to go.
It was leaked on TikTok by a dancing girl.
Your imagination is very creative today.
If you get on TikTok and you get on that wrong thread...
on the wrong side, the one you don't want, the one you don't love, yes?
All it is are these dipshit teenage girls doing this stupid dances where they touch their face and they jump around and they shake their ass and they do a twerk maybe, and then they go and then their hand comes forward and they turn off the camera. it's like there must be a million of these clips.
Oh yeah, now stick with it because there'll be a new one soon, and that's like that's how it works.
I always try to get back to the good clips, which is the people with purple hair bitching about their students being non-binary.
Let's go back to CBS this morning, and we'll move into Taiwan and China.
The meeting between Taiwan's president and Speaker McCarthy was first and foremost a clear signal to China.
Her arrival and welcome by the speaker and a bipartisan group of lawmakers was meant to telegraph that America would come to the rescue if China tried to seize Taiwan by force.
Their presence and unwavering support reassure the people of Taiwan that we are not isolated and we are not alone.
This was a choreographed show of solidarity.
The friendship between the people of Taiwan and America is a matter of profound importance to the free world.
Predictably, China was furious. Today, the Foreign Ministry spokeswoman warned it would use strong and resolute measures to defend its sovereignty. Last time, a warning like that meant an intimidating display of force. China's missiles, planes, and warships all around Taiwan. That was in August 2022, after then-Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited the island to meet with President Tsai. 7 months on, life in Taipei is ticking along as people are getting used to the tension and now bracing themselves for yet more Chinese reprisals. Michael Cole is an analyst with the Republican Institute in Taipei.
There is absolutely no doubt that they will do something to try to punish Taiwan as a result of President Tsai's, particularly over her meeting with Speaker McCarthy.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you. So one, we've known China has kept saying, hey, if you first we had Pelosi went there, and why are we trying to poke the bear? It's like if they say, hey, don't meet with that person, we don't like it. And then what is the point of us going, oh yeah, neener, I'm going to go. And then second, what is the importance of Taiwan to the American people? What is because it seems like it's the most important thing in the world.
Well, besides the fact that they make all the good chips nowadays.
Okay, all right.
And they pretty much control high tech because of their position. They're good for two things. One, they make these, TSMC makes these terrific chips thanks to us. And so our technology, which we can't apparently afford to make here, is all been exported to Taiwan, and we have to actually pull up. That company has to be destroyed if China goes in there, and that's a pain in the ass.
You mean ASML?
The other thing is they are the number one. People don't realize is I've asked around when I've been to Taiwan quite a few times, and I've always asked this: what is Taiwan really the best at?
Oh.
And no one can really tell you.
Hummus. Oh no, that's Israel.
That's Lebanon. Injection molding.
Plastics.
A Motorola guy told me this. He says, you can dream up anything you think can't be injection molded or can't be made in a plastic form.
That's right.
He says the Taiwanese can do it. They're unbelievable at injection molding.
All right.
And I don't know if that's important to the Chinese, but I'm sure it is. The Chinese would love to have Taiwan. They lost Hong Kong. It's got to control.
Does Taiwan not sell anything to China? If China says, hey, we'd like to buy some chips.
No, China and Taiwan do nothing but business.
Exactly. So there's not really a problem. We're just rocking the boat like a bunch of dicks.
No, the whole thing is somewhat phony.
Military-industrial complex needs to pivot from Ukraine, loser situation, and I got some stuff on that too, over to Taiwan, so we can all act high and mighty, we're important, we need more stuff, need more money. We had the CHIPS Act, which, now I know it's all bull crap, but let's just pretend that we're dumb. We had the CHIPS Act, which was over $1 trillion and that was supposed to stimulate chip production and foundries in the United States. Of course, that money just got stolen.
Already a flop, by the way.
Stolen, and Europe also had a CHIPS Act, which all that money got stolen, no doubt. I mean, I don't see any. Apparently, no.
No, there's nothing going on.
And then we have ASML, which is a Dutch company, and everyone over to talk with them. Hey, you guys, you got to be. Hey, we're big bad Merc over here. You can't be sending stuff over there. If China takes over Taiwan, you can't give them any lithography, so they can't make their chips. But this is, it makes no sense. Why are we rocking the boat? So what if China takes over Taiwan? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm sure it'd be suck for those people, all kinds of horrible problems, but it's not like the chips would stop, would they?
With your thesis, I don't know what to say. I don't know what there's something we don't obviously know.
Yeah, no,
but this is kind
obvious.
Of interesting to watch it unfold. And my favorite clip of these Chinese clips is this one here, I think, because it's like China trying to copycat us. And play this clip. This is Chinese pulling sanctions card.
Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party has sanctioned 2 American organizations, the Hudson Institute and the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, hosted Taiwan's president during her recent travel to the U.S. The organizations are now banned from any cooperation, exchange, or transaction with China. This includes Chinese institutions and individuals. Key leaders of the organizations are also personally affected. They'll be barred from visiting China, have any assets in the country frozen, and more. A Taiwanese government agency handling China relations condemns the sanctions, calling it an intimidation attempt.
Oh, wow. Woo! Ronald Reagan Library.
I know. It's just it's almost as though they're mocking us, I think.
By the way, your book is overdue, China. You better bring it back to the Ronald Reagan Library. We're really upset with you. Okay. This has got to be theater on a grand scale. There's just no other way. And by the way, okay, so let's say China, who needs us, without us, they have no business. Yeah, I was like, okay, you just sell to Europe. You need us. We're your market. We're your buyers. We're the dumbos. So what? Okay, President Biden comes out and they program him to say the following. Everybody, I got bad news. There will be no iPhone upgrade this year. Do you think y'all can hold on for another year until we get our foundry set up here? I mean, what could the worst possible outcome be? I know chips and all kinds of stuff, but chips don't just burn out. Do you think we could hobble along for another year? Oh, I'm sorry. No, of course. AI is so important. It actually would solve the AI problem. No chips. We can't. AI won't take over America because we have no chips. It's just the whole thing makes no sense other than, well, here it is. This is, ashamed to say, a Texan who I have met in other contexts. This is McCall, the big military warmongering douchebag.
Rattler.
He's not. Oh, he's a douchebag. He's a warmongering douchebag, and all he could talk about is Ukraine, and now all of a sudden.
So, Speaker McCarthy and yourself have said that multiple times now that we need to arm Taiwan now before there's any sort of invasion. What about U.S. troops?
I think then you're talking about an authorized use of military force that would come out of my committee, or a declaration of war, which we haven't utilized since World War II.
Would you support that?
I think if China, Communist China, invades Taiwan, I think that is certainly, if the American people support this, the Congress will follow.
Notice Communist China. This Vietnam all over again. Communist China.
House Foreign Affairs Chairman Michael McCall signaling he is open to sending American troops to fight in Taiwan. Woo! Aisha Hosni has the exclusive report from Taipei. Good morning, Aisha.
Send the reserve, send the guard from New Jersey.
Good morning to you, Dana. Good to see you. This is very different than what we heard right before the war on Ukraine, when lawmakers were very adamant that there would absolutely absolutely be no U.S. troops, no boots on the ground. Now we're learning that this is very much a possibility when it comes to Taiwan. In my exclusive interview with Chairman McCall, he tells me that sending American men and women to war is the last resort. Conflict is the last resort. Deterrence is key here, but authorizing war powers is not out of the question.
So you're saying that the option to authorize war powers is on the table?
If Communist China invaded Taiwan, it would certainly be on the table and something that would be discussed by Congress and with the American people. Are they prepared to do this? Is Taiwan worth it? I can argue for a lot of reasons why it is.
Which he, of course, doesn't do, nor does Fox go into any detail of all these arguments of why it is so important. And what is this new term? I mean, now we know authorization of use of military force. We know declaration of war. But now we have authorizing war powers, which I find to be a little wishy-washy. It doesn't sound like a real term to me.
Huh. Well, I didn't notice this.
Yeah.
I think it's just they're trying to vary their language, maybe.
Well, words do matter. I mean, there's a difference between declaring war and authorization of use of military force, which I think is such a bogative thing anyway. We haven't declared war on anybody since World War II. We've always had bases in Taiwan. I'm going to read this. This is from Voice of America. Oh, fine. 2021. Trustworthy outfit. 2021. U.S. nearly doubled military personnel stationed in Taiwan this year. We have people boots on the ground. There's boots on the ground.
The United States has doubled its unofficial military presence in Taiwan over the past year in what specialists describe as the latest signal to claim that Taiwan's future remains a priority. The increase from 20 to 39 people.
Whoa, boots on the ground.
It's still our people, and they're there. Yeah. They're staying somewhere in a house. I don't know where they are. But I know when you go to Taiwan, people kind of assume there's a bunch of military guys there because one whole part of the shopping district in Taipei is kind of designed for them.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And you notice it when you're there shopping.
Hey, let's listen to how about this? Let's listen to the West Clark 7 again, shall we?
Sure.
Just the most important part.
7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
So China wasn't even on this list.
Well, it's probably on the new list.
Or Taiwan.
Let's play. I have a series of clips about China here.
Well, before you go there, because I just want to play 2 response clips from China because they're so mad about McCarthy meeting with some other woman who said nothing important. It seems like China's just playing. It's like all actors on this stage.
A massive. Well, I just want to say the Chinese do seem a little lame in this response to all this.
Well, here it is.
A massive show of military might off the coast of Taiwan. China deploying fighter jets and warships Saturday, sending 71 planes into Taiwan's airspace, and at least 9 Chinese warships now surrounding the self-governed island of Taiwan, simulating a naval blockade. It's the start of Exercise Joint Sword, 3 days of military action that Beijing says is a serious warning. The exercise is in response to days of high-level talks between the U.S. and Taiwan, beginning with President Tsai's meeting with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California. Hours later, a congressional delegation arriving here in Taipei for 3 days of engagements, President Tsai saying Taiwan has faced continued authoritarian expansionism, making cooperation among democracies even more important.
Okay, well, wow, boy, big response. What I don't understand and what is not discussed here in the United States is now we have the leaders of the European Union meeting with Xi Jinping. And yes, it is Macron with Queen Ursula, meeting with him. So if these guys are our enemies and they start to sail ships and launch fighter planes the minute we meet with some nondescript person, then what are these douchebags doing? Are they our friends or not?
French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen are in Beijing today for talks with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. After the meeting, the Commission President praised the Chinese leader's stance on nuclear weapons, but warned Beijing against arming Russia, claiming that would violate international law. Earlier, Presidents Macron and Xi issued a joint call for peace talks between Russia and Ukraine to take place as soon as possible.
By the way, this is no coincidence these documents are on social media with this happening.
France sees China as a key player in finding a peaceful solution to the war. Well, the Commission President said that President Xi had stated during talks that he was willing to talk with Ukraine's President Zelensky when the time was right. And she emphasized China's importance in promoting a just peace.
I know you have clips, but a just peace? What is a just peace? Just.
Win-win, baby.
All right.
And she emphasized China's importance in promoting a just peace.
This visit is taking place in a challenging and increasing volatile context. In particular, because of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine.
This is another thing I just want to pause.
Does this woman just like to hear herself talk?
Oh, yeah. She looks in the mirror every morning and does this. She calls it Russia's war of aggression on Ukraine. So not the war on Ukraine, Russia's war of aggression. All the words matter, particularly with these political diplomat types.
In particular, because of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, China's position on this is crucial for the European Union.
Crucial.
As a member of the UN Security Council, there is a big responsibility, and we expect that China will play its role and promote a just peace, one that respects Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, one of the cornerstones of the UN Charter.
Okay, so I believe we should declare war on Europe, at least authorize military use of force, because these people are not on our side. They're playing on a whole, they're with Xi. And if you believe the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, there's a plan behind it, and I think Ursula wants to be in on the new High Council.
Who can bring Russia and Ukraine to the negotiating table? France? China? Brazil? Today, it was Turkey's turn to try its hand at convincing the visiting Russian foreign minister to seek peace. To be fair, Ankara is in a unique position to mediate. Its NATO membership and friendly ties with Moscow allowed it to broker one of the rare diplomatic breakthroughs in the year-long war. But when it comes to negotiating an end to the conflict, success is likely to be more elusive. Sitting down with his Turkish counterpart, Sergei Lavrov was very clear. For Russia, this is about much more than just Ukraine.
Ceasefire negotiations need to be based on the principles of the New World Order, which we all need, instead of a unipolar world order, an order led by one hegemon.
Yeah, I guess who that's not going to be. So that seems like the plan. And the EU is like, okay, all right, you can be the hegemon, China. They're just saying it. They're just saying it.
I think these countries don't like us.
I have a feeling. I wonder why. By the way, that's the quote of the year. I think these countries don't like us. No, we're being represented by utter douchebags. We come across as not so nice.
Well,
yeah. All right.
They can eat it.
Yes. All right. You got some China.
Let's go with here's an interesting China report. There's China and Trans 1.
And next we hear from a woman who survived Mao's Cultural Revolution in China, fled to America, and even ran for the U.S. Congress last year.
Is this NTD or what? I'm just curious.
Yeah, okay. This is a series of clips from this ex-Chinese, she's Chinese national, who's come here, and she's old, and she got involved in the Cultural Revolution, and she sees everything going on here.
Oh, that went on in China.
What the kids did in China during the Cultural Revolution, which very few people in our audience remember, but it was a mess. It really screwed China up.
Yeah,
and that's what they locked up everyone over. It was horrible. And this woman, and now the problem with these clips, and there's 5 of them, because she goes from one thing to another, including a last clip that is a killer, which you can just play that and end it. She's a little hard to understand, but once you catch her cadence, she speaks in a very thick Mandarin accent. It's a very specific kind of Chinese accent we're not used to hearing. Generally speaking, the sing-songy Cantonese accent is what our ears are more used to, and this is different. So here we go.
Lily Tang Williams peers through the lens of history in her assessment of recent developments in the transgender and gun control movements. Let's see that now. Lily Tang Williams, welcome to our show. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Now, you and other Chinese Americans have drawn parallels between pro-trans and other far-left activists and the Red Guard, brigades of militant students who helped purge Chinese society of those who opposed Mao's rule during the Cultural Revolution, which you lived through. Tell me more about the parallels that you see.
Well, that, the hallmark of Mao's Cultural Revolution is to use identity politics and weaponize the youth who are idealistic and worship his regime, worship him as a god. So that he used almost semi-religious indoctrination and daily propaganda to get them to be weaponized and militarized, and even toward the end, that very violent.
All right, let me just, because she is hard to understand, but I think let me just understand what she's saying. She's saying what Mao did is he used the youths, and gave them whatever they wanted, and I guess this is where it relates to trans and the Democrat and Biden and Harris and the whole administration, that they would worship them as gods and do whatever they wanted for them. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right, good.
To torture people who are not so-called red classes. And so I've been warning people about this kind of indoctrination in our schools and colleges, because young people, they're not taught history very well, so they don't recognize those tactics, and they also don't know that what is really truth. So we are very terrified to say that what is happening today in America.
Was that also Mao's wife who then completely got
she was the worst.
She got
they had to lock her up.
But the kids then went out to rat on their parents and get their parents locked up, right?
Yeah, there was that too. So she's just saying that this was going on here through the education system, and it is parallel to what was going on in Mao's era. And what's interesting is that I have another series of clips about this. The last clips that we had a couple of weeks ago, or the last show, where we describe this as Maoism, which overrides everything else going on. It's just that I think it's true. I think Maoism, not necessarily Marxism, is what we're seeing, and it's very hard to recognize because it's never been one of the ways to go, as it were, for the communists.
So let me get this right. So let me get this right. We have the warmongering politicians led by people like the Republican McCall. They're all in on it, but let's just say the Republicans are typically the war guys. Yeah, let's go to Taiwan. Yeah, let's get all this McCarthy. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Chinese are laughing because they're behind us, and the kids are going to stab everybody in the back.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Part 2.
We've seen pro-trans activists recently accosting NCAA champion Riley Gaines after she spoke out for women's rights in sports. And it follows a similar event in New Zealand where a protester threw sauce on the speaker amid unruly protests. Do you see these marks of violence as connected to communist ideology?
Well, they certainly use their tactics. Our young people in this country don't know what they're doing, and they don't think, and they are the ones who are fascists and who are silence other people, they think they're right because they are brainwashed to believe their cause is number one priority. They got to do this, thing right and be part of this so-called transgender movement. But the thing is, if they study history, then they will know Mao actually used young people, even use young girls, and want them to actually dress like boys, like soldiers, and to join the revolution, destroy four cultures. And he's trying to create a genderless societies, erase girls and women and the gender differences, and get them all to be loyal to the revolution. And so I feel so sorry to see those young people are being used and naive, idealistic, and now getting involved in this kind of movement, almost use mob tactics, which can lead to the violence and the injury and death of people against the opposition. So it's not like about American. We don't have to agree with each other. We can have discussion and conversations. No, you must be shut up if you don't agree with us.
Holy crap. I'm just going to give this to you now. I know there's more that's coming. So this is exactly, through this lens, is exactly what we're seeing happening, although I have some clips later when you're done with your presentation that show that it may be backfiring. Because Mao didn't have a lot of the pharmaceuticals that we're using to accelerate this process.
That's a good point.
Yeah, accelerate the process of girls turning into boys. And what do we just recently see? We saw a girl dressed as a boy, a militant boy. And by the way, I have page 1 of the manifesto, which I've received, I believe to be true.
Oh, great. Okay. We'll look forward to that. Yeah. Yes, I think the parallel with that transgender character.
And by the way, it's 80%. It's 80% girls transitioning to men, but with all we see in the news is the men transitioning to women. So I believe that to be a huge distraction.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's exactly what Mao did. Okay, on with clip 3.
No free speech on college campuses. If you don't agree with them, you don't kowtow to them, and they're going to come to shut down your speech event, and they will, even damage you personally in terms of physical health. It's very sad to see this happening.
Wow.
There was a right or a conservative judge speaking at Stanford to the law department. This was a couple of weeks ago, and about half the students walked out.
Oh yeah, I know.
And the law firm a large one, I think it's a large LA firm, and a couple of other law firms have now made an edict that they will not accept any Stanford law students as interns. This hasn't been talked about too much. Because if the students can't even listen to another side of an argument, they're obviously not qualified to be legal anything.
Of course not.
So they got blackballed.
Wow.
The Stanford Law School got blackballed by a bunch of law firms. Good work, Dean.
Wow.
Okay, now this changes gears in the clip 3.
No, clip 4. Clip 4.
Oh, clip 4. Okay, it changes gears on clip 4, and it is it looks at guns.
And turning to gun control now, you've been alerting people to precedents in history where gun control preceded state-enforced atrocities. What's the lesson that you think that we should draw from that, and what's an example of that?
Well, that I understand young people want to participate and to, reduce the crimes, and they're very afraid and they live in fear. But the thing is, though, they don't understand the truth. They don't understand the cause of the problems. Number one, gun-free zones for schools are drawing criminals come to do the damage, do the harm. Because, nobody with guns legally can shut them down immediately. You have to call 911 first. And secondly, they bought into the left media rhetoric. The Republicans are the bad people, and if you support Second Amendment right, but Ted Cruz just offered lots of help from the federal government to arm guards to protect students' safety in schools and to give more funding. And the Democrats shut him down. They don't want to talk about how to really protect students and teachers, but they just want to use gun control. But the gun control, we all know, whoever fled totalitarian regimes, gun control works. because everybody will be enslaved. You don't have access to guns, and you cannot have a way to fight back. Our founding fathers put the Second Amendment in the Constitution because they know that's the only way we can prevent tyranny in the United States of America. History lessons need to be taught. The communism evils need to be taught in our schools, but our schools are not focused on that today.
Oh, man. Protect this woman. She's in danger. She's in grave danger. Wow.
Now,
wow.
Yeah, now she's a Chinese woman. Cracks me up. Okay, so now this is the last.
She is a Chinese woman, right?
Yeah, she's from China.
But she's in America now, correct?
Yeah, she's obviously American now.
Yeah. Wow.
But I just thought, now this is the one that would be clip of the day if I was picking one of them.
You can
this is her final thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And these final thoughts are a summary of everything kind of going on in a very concise way that a Chinese woman that experienced the Cultural Revolution might see more clear than most of us. And I just thought this was, again, it's kind of borderline pidgin English, but it's just a dynamite final thought.
They are focused on Marxism, socialism, transgenderism, identity politics. America is a systemic racist country, capitalism bad. It's very terrifying for me to say that. Did the communists follow me come to America, or they're all over the Western countries? Maybe we don't call them communists because people don't recognize they are actually using the communist tactics to divide people to do the revolutions. So it takes us immigrants who see the writings on the wall to come out publicly and loudly to educate the public, to warn people we don't want to go down that path.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good. There are commies everywhere. In our backyard, the commies are in Congress. They don't call them communists. Yeah, that's a good point. Well,
they're dupes more than anything.
Okay, so let's put some of this into practice. Let's take a look at a couple of things. And it really, interestingly, all of what she said surrounds the Tennessee school shooting. A lot of things, and and with Tennessee, man, they threw it all in the kitchen sink. They brought in Black people, they brought in children protesting. It's all about get rid of guns. I mean, it's been mayhem. Tennessee right now is ground central. And this is what we get from Karine Abdul-Jabbar Van Dampierre. First about, well, just listen to the question and what she says.
Former Vice President Pence said that if the shooter who killed 6 people in that Christian school in Tennessee was motivated by a hatred towards Christians, that the crime should be categorized as a hate crime. I'm wondering what the president thinks of that kind of designation.
It's not for us to decide.
Okay, so everything in America is a hate crime, but when Christians are targeted, it's not for us to decide. So that kind of gives you a clue. About the thinking.
Yeah, that's about right.
And then nothing for, hey, Christian kids, we see you, we feel bad. This is horrible. Whether you were targeted or not, you had one thing in common. You were kids and you were Christians, but no.
LGBTQI plus kids are resilient. They are fierce. They fight back. They're not going anywhere. And we have their back. This administration has their back. We are so proud of the kids across this country who have organized protests and school walkouts to tell the politicians in their states to stop this legislative bullying. I know that these political attacks can really take toll on people's mental health. So I want to say directly to LGBTQI plus kids, you are loved just as you are. Just the way you are. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, you call 988.
I mean, how about for the Christian kids? Or you just toss a Bible at them. Here, read this. You'll feel better. I mean, that's our administration right now with this totally perfect gaslighting press secretary. She is actually really good. She's doing her job because the press corps and everyone's doing us a great disservice. They're all focused. I'm going along with Wu-Tang Clan lady you had there. I'm going along with that because she's right. everyone's focused on the wrong things. They're focusing on Taiwan. Like, oh, yeah, China, what horrible. Oh, you got to take care of them. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the trans athletes.
Well, tonight, a major development in the debate over transgender athletes' rights. The Biden administration is now proposing new regulations that would prevent schools and colleges from enacting outright bans in sports. This is going to set up a clash with states that have already put them in place. CBS's Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with the new details. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Nora. The proposed change would make categorically banning all transgender athletes a violation of Title IX, the federal law barring schools from discriminating on the basis of sex. Just this week, Kansas became the 20th state to impose a blanket ban. But the new rule would also allow K-12 schools and universities to restrict, in some cases, the participation of transgender students if it undermines fairness on the field or could lead to injuries. It's, in essence, a compromise between those seeking to ban transgender athletes because they might have an unfair advantage and those trying to protect transgender athletes' rights to participate in sports consistent with their gender identity. There are several current federal court challenges to the blanket bans across the country, setting up a confrontation between the Biden administration and mostly Republican-led states.
So this, of course, has people preoccupied, mainly women, because, hey, wait a minute, we're getting rubbed out of the, so to speak, out of the equation here. And this is it's an obsession for many. While it is, of course, incredibly important, it is not what's going on. And I watched this documentary, Affirmation Generation. It's on YouTube. I put a link in the show notes, about an hour and a half. And it is pretty much all children who and now young adults who have detransitioned, which, by the way, is about 83% versus the 3% lie that the Association for Pediatrics, they're the bad guys. The American Association for Pediatrics, they are liars. They give misinformation, and worse, what has happened, I mean, we know about it a little bit, but the big pharma, the pharmaceutical industry has gotten it to the point where you can walk into any therapist's office, they can declare you trans, even though you may have, like you're a teenage girl, that you're going through all kinds of things. You hate your body, you have anxiety. There's all these things. And no, you're trans. It's obvious. And everything else falls by the wayside. And that is what the therapists are being told is the new science. And most of them, of course, when you get it from the Association of Pediatrics, like, well, obviously we got to follow that. You can put them on testosterone or estrogen, depending on which way you're going, but testosterone is mainly for the girls. 80% of the children transitioning are throwing some social media, throwing some filters on Instagram, so of course you don't look the way you look. This thing has all these therapists who are now speaking up, talking about what is actually happening. And the crazy thing is that this is really only still taking place in America. Whereas the countries that pioneered this, in fact, the happiest country on earth, Finland, they are now turning back from this practice, saying not only should it not be done, it is incredibly harmful. The things that happen to girls, particularly with testosterone, as you pointed out on the last show, ultimately just sterilizes them. It leads to suicide. So what would you rather have? A live boy or a dead girl, a live son or a dead daughter. These are all incredibly horrible, horrific, gaslighting things said by our professionals in the medical industry. I pulled a minute and a half clip from this documentary specifically about how the rest of the world is not in on this dumb shit, and we are.
One of the big news stories overnight, the NHS to close the UK's only dedicated gender identity clinic for children and young people.
NHS England has announced the closure of its controversial gender identity clinic for children after an independent report found it was not fit for purpose.
The kids that Tavistock sees have many other problems. They have very high rates of autistic spectrum disorders, self-harm, depression, anxiety, all of these sorts of things. And those things aren't dealt with because there's this weird way that as soon as somebody says gender, they don't do anything else. And the second problem is that the Tavistock has this hugely ideological approach. It hasn't been doing good medicine. It hasn't been keeping records. It hasn't been doing proper research. It hasn't been investigating the reasons behind a child's trans identity. They've just been assuming that a child who says, I'm trans, is trans, and putting them on these very poorly researched pathways with puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones.
The U.S. is getting more out of step with the rest of the world every day. There are several progressive countries, that the ones that like pioneered pediatric gender transition, and they are reconsidering what they've been doing. Sweden was the first country to recognize, the legal status of trans people, and they just issued new guidelines where they say gender transitioning of minors should only be done for exceptional cases and in tightly controlled clinical studies. And there are no studies going on right now. Finland did the similar thing 2 years ago. In the last 12 months, we've heard from the French Academy of Medicine, the Australian psychiatrists, and the Italian psychoanalysts all expressing concern. So all of these changes, or at least in Sweden, Finland, and England, followed a commissioned systematic review of the evidence, which found either no benefits to youth gender transitions or even that the harms outweighed the benefits.
So this is now painfully obvious to me. We are being gaslit from all sides, particularly with the male to female transitioning, while they're building an army, literally going out and killing people, of Maoist girls. I mean, this brings the whole thing together, John. And then, if just for some yucks, I'll throw in some of the distraction, because Bud Light, of course, is a distraction. It's a distraction. We all get mad, and we all, it's great that Kid Rock shoots up the Bud Light, but we're missing so the 80% of children are being Maoistically transformed into an army ready to fight, ready to get angry, ready to commit, in essence, an insurrection on the Tennessee State House. Although, of course, we can't draw that comparison. And then they take the dumbest individuals in our society, the weakest morons, like the VP of Bud Light, Alyssa Gordon Heinerscheid, to ruin. They're willing to ruin a pretty well-known brand to distract us, I guess, from all of this idiocy. But it also shows you how the left thinks about this. And it is the left. It is, and in fact, in the documentary, these are all Democrats. The whole thing was made by Democrats. They say it. It's in the credits. They make it very clear. We are progressive Democrats, and it's our fault. We have been doing this. So listen, she was on a podcast. Of course, that's where people always screw up. Just a little clip here, just a little backgrounder of who she is, the first brand manager of any beer, as far as we know.
Being the first woman to lead Bud Light, the biggest beer brand kind of in the world, it's humbling, and I'm incredibly grateful. It's taken kind of 41 years for a woman to be in this spot. And
she's 41.
It's sometimes helpful
she thinks it's taken her 41 years, but no, it's taken 41 years for a woman to be in this spot.
Really grateful. It's taken kind of 41 years for a woman to be in this spot. And I think it's sometimes helpful to just sort of...
Hold on a second.
Yes.
That's her age, 41?
Mm-hmm.
And so everything's about her?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because beer has been around a lot longer than 41 years. I hope she knows that.
No. I told you she's dumb.
Recognize that this is the spot. Like, this is where I think I had maybe even dreamed of being, in some kind of position like this. And so kind of being happy in the here and now is a part of what I'm trying to kind of draw.
This is where I would say, thank you for coming in to interview. You can leave. We have no interest in hiring you. But no.
Joy and energy from. And particularly, it's an interesting dynamic as a woman in a very male-dominated vice industry. Like
vice industry? I didn't know it was called that. Is it called that? The vice?
What? She said called what?
Beer is in the vice industry, not beverage.
I'd fire her on the spot for saying that.
Of course you would. I'm in the vice industry. Whoa. What else is in the vice industry?
Oh my God.
And particularly, it's an interesting dynamic as a woman in a very male dominated vice industry, like beer. And it's been a long road, Kristen. It's sort of,
Hold on a second. So she's saying the product that they make is a vice.
Correct.
Let's look at the definition of it. Guy, this is clip of the day too, by the way.
Woo, double up.
So when you're done, you can do it. Okay, now
I took it. Otherwise, you won't give it to me later. You always forget. No, I'm taking it.
I don't pull back. Pull back.
Yeah, don't pull back. Vice.
Immoral or wicked behavior. Top definition.
Wow.
Immoral or wicked behavior. So she's in the business, happily in the business of immorality.
She dreamt
That's
of
what
this.
she said.
Yes, she dreamt of this in some ways. As a child, she wanted to be in the immorality business.
Why don't she just go become a whore?
Woo! There we go.
It's humbling, and I'm incredibly grateful. It's taken kind of 41 years for a woman to be in this spot. And I think it's sometimes helpful to just sort of recognize that this is the spot. Like, this is where I think I had maybe even dreamed of being, in some kind of position like this. And so kind of being happy in the here and now is a part of what I'm trying to kind of draw joy and energy from. And particularly, it's an interesting dynamic as a woman in a very male dominated vice industry like beer. And it's been a long road, Kristen. It's been tense and hard, but it's also brought a lot of clarity and perspective about kind of who I want to be and how I want to operate in the world.
Here we go.
And I would say the most important thing about this job is that you have to prioritize bringing other people along the way, community and women. I mean, it doesn't mean anything unless I am positively impacting other people. And so that's been just incredibly important to me. My decisions with teams, I mean, I try to build teams of people who maybe nobody else has taken a chance on them. I try to bet on people who haven't had the opportunity, bet on people with similar values as me, who are hungry and want to do great things, but care about each other and protect each other and are kind and good.
Hey, how about selling some beer?
Holy moly. This woman is full of herself. She's selling beer.
It is called a vice industry. That may be a legalistic term, actually, now that I think about it. So, but that's certainly not. Let's put it this way: it can be legally that, but as a brand manager, you would never talk about your industry as being part of a vice industry or your product or any of that. So, of course, what do you want for a beer? What do you want for a beer? You want. If you're in charge of the brand, and this beer, of course, this brand has a particular look, a particular vibe. We had a dog, Spuds. What do you want? Well,
and I try to bring that, honestly. Female representation in this role has been something I've been really committed to.
Bring more women into selling the beer that men like to drink. Okay.
We can talk a little bit about that if you want, but it's just been, ever since I took this job, I wanted to try to move the needle in some small choices along the way to sort of say, this matters to me. It's the same when I'm dealing with celebrities or sponsorship or partnerships. It's my commitment to sort of bring others along with me.
So to bring female representation with celebrity brands, influencers, you bring in a dude. Okay, that makes total sense. How about as a businesswoman?
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract...
What?
The brand has been in decline for a really long time, she says.
I didn't know this.
Well, let's consult the Book of Knowledge. I mean, I don't know. It's like, is Bud Light in decline? I mean, that sounds like you're a loser.
Yeah. Condemn the company.
Let me see. I don't see any I don't see anything. Well, let's keep going.
Young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate.
This is something. Okay, here's what I would say. And again, I do come a little bit from this world. I do know these brands and this family, at least what they used to be 25 years ago. If you're the number one beer and everything is rocking and rolling, like, woo, I'm crushing it. We are just, the sales are off the chart. Then you can say, well, when I came in, it was a brand in decline and we knew we had to do something. So, but she is saying there's no proof that her strategy, she's only been in since February. She came in just before the Super Bowl. Do you remember their Super Bowl commercials? No, of course you don't. No, of course you don't. But I remember the dumb dog from 20 years ago. Of course, hey, a beautiful dog of mine. So this is what she's saying here is stuff you say once you've crushed it. Not like, well, I came in 2 months ago and it's a brand in decline. So, if I don't do something, this thing is going to die on the vine.
And in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone.
Hold on, stop this.
Stop this.
Let me just read from a marketing. This came in February. This is from 2020.
Okay.
In decline for a very long time. Sales of specialty brews are definitely rising. The nation's 7,500 plus craft breweries shipped a total of 25.9 barrels. That's 7,500 craft breweries shipped 25 million. And this quote from a 2020 article, which is, it's been in decline for a long time. If the amount of craft beer sold sounds impressive, consider the nation's number one beer brand, Bud Light, alone shipped 27.2 million barrels last year.
In decline.
Now, how's that in decline?
Well,
for a really long time.
Yeah.
For a really long time. What does that mean to you? 5 years? 10?
I don't know.
Number one brand beer. Outsold 7,500 craft breweries in and of itself. Okay, so now we know the woman's full of shit. So let's continue the clip.
What does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect.
Representation is at the heart of evolution.
Inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach.
We really like the stupid humor. We liked your dumb dog. We liked your water with hops and rice. Come on. This is harakiri. And the Belgians did it. It must be the InBev guys who bought Anheuser-Busch. They must have brought her in. Their whole point, we need to distract the stupid Americans. This woman will do it. Don't worry. She'll ruin this brand. Everyone will get all mad. We got to be inclusive.
If you're a Belgian and you're looking at the number one brand, Bud Light, and you're going, this beer's terrible compared to our good Belgian beers
our Stella
that make us fat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's possible. It might be a sabotage methodology. Well, why not? They can still make tons of money.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but it would seem possible that I think if this does what is happening with these brands, I don't know. Maybe sales will go through the roof. I have no idea. Maybe I'm crazy.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, that's beside the point.
Thanks. But this is all the distraction. Just going back to the original point. This is all distraction. Don't pay attention to it. Pay attention to our girls. Our girls who have been, first we had to get them out of the nuclear family with Black Lives Matter. Now we have to just sterilize them. And they can walk right into Planned Parenthood, number one spot. You can walk in and walk out on testosterone the same day. And I'll never forget the guy I met who said, therapist, you can spell it two ways, therapist or the rapist. I think we have a huge problem with these therapists, and they have to be put on notice. And the American Association of Pediatrics, it is watch this documentary. And it's the same insanity that we often talk about when people all of a sudden decide it was a good idea to get lobotomies. Same idiocy.
Good point.
Same idiocy. Oh, yeah.
That was a walk-in. That was an outpatient. Yeah. You just
walk
go
in,
boom.
get a lobotomy. I'm good to go. And now to gaslight us even more, because all of this drag time story hour, it's a distraction. It's a communist.
And by the way, I do want to mention when we're on that topic that and we have a big protest in San Francisco today or yesterday, and it was this idea of anti-trans legislation, the term which the mainstream media loves to use. Yep. It's not anti-trans.
It's pro-child, pro-girl.
It's pro-girl. It's about sports where, you can't have a big dude with a dick hanging off of him running with the girls in a track meet and say that's okay because he identifies as a woman. This is not anti-trans, it's anti-bullshit. And it's like, you can't teach little 2-year or second graders about, homosexuality. It's just not. In fact, we were promised with the gay marriage people going on and on and on. There used to be this show called Gay News on the cables, and they would go on and on about doing, this doesn't mean we're going to do anything in the schools to the grammar school kids. That's bull crap. We don't want to do that. But they're doing it. So you have to have this legislation. And it's unbelievable. And they blamed everything's the Republicans' fault.
Well, again, I think that's a distraction, although another problem for girls and who ultimately happen to become women. All of that is a distraction. We're yelling about the wrong things. What we need to stop is girls on social media. I'm looking at you, Tumblr. I'm looking at you, Instagram. Also, I'm looking at you, TikTok, who are hyping each other up about you can see it. It went from 0.1% to 9% within just a couple of years. That, oh no, I'm trans. It's being reinforced by people in lab coats. It's being reinforced by the medical industry. It's being enforced by gaslighters like Karine Jean-Pierre. It's being enforced by our president who had the lobotomy. No wonder. By saying, trans day of visibility, you're being gaslit. And meanwhile, our girls, the future of any country, and these girls are going to be educated in a Maoist way, and they're going to come and kill you, shoot you in the back, or shoot your children, or shoot your school. Look at what's happening. And now the latest one, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. You can get outraged by it. Dragsyndrome.com. Oh, yeah. They've now taken Downies, and that's what they're called. I have friends with Downies, and they're dressing them up in drag.
What?
Go look at dragsyndrome.com. Freshly pierced drag collective featuring highly addictive queens and kings with Down syndrome. Go look at it. They're so sick that they will politicize children with Down syndrome, known as Downies, put them in drag so that we'll get all pissed off about that. Meanwhile, they're medicating your girls. Your girls. Your girls. Are you looking at it?
Oh, unbelievable. This could be a faux site. This could be a plant by,
What's the difference? As long as we get outraged over it, what's the difference? What?
Oh, yeah.
What's the difference?
This is really bad.
What's the difference? And they're on Instagram, too. They're on Instagram. They got an Instagram page. What's the difference? Drag Time Story Hour, it's a distraction. Of course it's not cool. Of course we don't want that for our children. the books in the school. No, that's actually very, very damaging. These books, teach them teach them stuff that is useful.
Well, can we play these? I have a series of 3 more clips about Maoism.
Oh, yes, because this, and by the way, it's not communism; it's Maoism. I'm all in on this, and I'm going to beat this drum.
It makes more sense if you think about it.
Yeah,
but it's still communism, but it's Maoism.
It's history repeating itself.
So they had this guy being interviewed. This is Patrick Byrne.
Oh, Patrick Byrne, Overstock CEO, former Overstock CEO.
Yeah.
I love him.
He just got back from a world tour, and he is not a happy camper.
We've played a lot of his stuff in the past. Certainly during the 2016 election, and then 2020, he had played a big role. And of course, he's a nut job, QAnon. If you look at any other angle besides our show.
Yeah, go with part 1.
Patrick Byrne. Here's a look.
Patrick, I want to get your thoughts. America is often and has long been looked at as a beacon of hope around the world. Not so much maybe for our adversaries. They're forced to respect us oftentimes. So how is the world looking at this, both our allies and our adversaries?
Well, I just came back from overseas where in the Gulf, the Arab Gulf, Persian Gulf, and in none of the countries I visited was there a single person who did not see, first, what a hoax our 2020 election was, and secondly, did not see that the Biden regime is doing so badly, there's really a question whether they even are on our side. Like, they're doing so badly, you have to wonder, is it on purpose? Like when you see things like Afghanistan, was it on purpose, or could they really be that bad as to leave $85 billion of advanced equipment? So, nobody believes, people really don't believe he's the legitimate president.
How does a country like China view this? Is it a weakening moment for our country?
Well, I think China's had... what I'm most concerned about with China, so I'm quite concerned if we're going to survive. I think we're being led through a military-grade psyop with military precision, and ultimately, the chain of command is deep in the shadows. It's China, and there's all these things that we've been experiencing that seem so strange, from the reaction to COVID, which wasn't driven by science, the emphasis on vaccines, which wasn't driven by science, the reaction to the Antifa, all this domestic terrorism that gets unanswered, to a crazy election in 2020 and 2022, and now this kind of stuff. This is all part of a Maoist revolution. Maoist revolutions occur at every level of society. So they're cheating here, they're cheating here. If they're cheating the election system, they're bringing charges against anybody who says it. They're bringing charges against politicians who do anything.
Yeah, man. Is there a book we can go and read about this Maoist revolution that would...
No, I guess we're going to have to write one ourselves. Let's go with part 2.
Any lawyer who picks up a pen to help, they discover the bar comes after them. So it's all level. It's the teachers at your grade school. It's the simultaneous all level of society at once to completely throw the population off their orientation. And then it's people, I think that they want to destroy the country in the belief that they're going to create, out of the clutter, they're going to create a new system. And that system has nothing to do, doesn't resemble anything like the system we've always had.
So when, after the Mao revolution, and I mean, did it work? It did, right? Then he had them, how long did he have them have control?
Well, he had, it was actually a counter-revolution when he did the great, what was it called?
Great Reset.
It was the Great It worked pretty much, and it dissolved eventually, and then they ended up throwing the book at the wife.
The wife, yeah.
But it was very destructive. That's the problem. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that the Chiang Kai-shek and the boys loaded up everything they could in massive railroad trains and shipped it all to Taiwan, where it now resides in a large museum that's right in the middle of Taipei.
How How about it? It was the Great Leap Forward, of course, not the
Great Leap Forward. So let's wrap up, Patrick, here.
Patrick, specifically when it comes to the Chinese Communist Party, how are they viewing this right now? Are they seeing weakness in the United States?
Worse than that, they're seeing opportunity. They're never going to let Biden out before they take advantage of everything they can take advantage. This is a historic window of opportunity for them. So we're lucky if all they do is they run the tables on us for the next 19 months. We're lucky if that's all they do. I worry, and the Epoch Times published many years ago a wonderful, important leak out of China, the most important leak out of China ever, the secret speech of the Minister of Defense, Chi Haotian. And it was a speech given in 2003 where the Minister of Defense explained how they were going to take down the United States of America, starting with a bioweapon, destabilize us, civil war. Basically, within our civil war, and then the cartels and the UN being given carte blanche for 3 years, we will be nothing but a husk. And then we get colonized by the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party. That may sound crazy, but that's their stuff. That's their speech. That's a book called Unrestricted Warfare by two famous colonels in China. So that's their stuff. As crazy as that sounds, that's what they're planning on doing to us. Someday I'm sure they're already laughing, like how bad did America have to get that they could even see this stuff in our Chinese national security literature, that we were doing this, and America could still not orient itself to respond. It's kind of, it's not a secret. They're public about it, that this is what they're doing over there.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? Add in a little bit of fentanyl. That'll show them.
Yeah, the fentanyl. I want to play one more clip that's kind of in a funny way related to this. It's the Biden banking clip. Listen to this.
Hold on a second. Okay, here we go.
The House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed several banks asking for Biden family associates' financial records. Fox News confirmed the news today. Subpoenas were issued to Bank of America, Cathay Bank, JP Morgan Chase, and HSBC USA. The committee also subpoenaed former Hunter Biden business associate Mervyn Yan, asking for financial records. Representative Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat on the committee, complained that Committee Chairman James Comer was trying to hide information from Democrats. Comer told Fox News, "We have the bank records and the facts are not good for the Biden family."
Did you hear what happened to Jamie Raskin?
The Maoist?
Yeah, they threw him on the ground and broke his femur.
That was Jamie Raskin?
Yeah, it just happened. It was in the news. So it must be true.
He broke a bone?
Yeah.
That's a hard bone to break, that one, the femur. That's the upper arm bone, right?
I thought, isn't that in your leg, the femur?
What am I thinking of?
I don't know. Where is it? I think I had the story. Was it Raskin? Wrong guy.
Let's take a look. We do have resources.
Someone says I'm the wrong guy. Hold on, let me see. Maybe I have the wrong. I thought it was. Who was it then? I thought it was Raskin. No one's giving me.
Okay, the femur's the thigh bone. You're right.
Yeah. Well, at least I know my
biology.
I
know somebody had a broken bone, but I didn't think it was Raskin.
I thought it was Raskin. I could be wrong. They threw someone to the ground. They beat up somebody. I was Blumenthal, same guy.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, Blumenthal will undergo routine surgery after fracturing femur. That's a hard bone to break.
Well, because they stomped on him, of course. Not playing along, boy. Okay, well, it wasn't Raskin. Blumenthal.
No.
Wow, this is the new pipelines as far as I'm concerned. We can view everything through this Maoist lens as what's happening, and it's really only in America. Because the EU, they're in on it. They have capitulated. They've capitulated.
Whereas, as far as the EU is concerned, in my opinion, they would just as soon see us go down anyway. We're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Always pushing them around. We're bossy.
True.
And, it was fun while it lasted.
With that, I'd like to thank you for your courtesy in the morning. To you, the man who put the C in the communist Maoist con game. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to my friend on the other end, Mr. John C. Dvorak.
In the morning, you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our trolls in the... Oh, hold on. And trolls in the troll room. Trolls, don't leave. There's plenty more show coming up. Let's see how many of there are. How many do we have here this morning? Wow, let me see. We've got... what? 1983. For an Easter Sunday, I'd say not bad.
Yeah, people are probably in church.
Bunch of heathens. You got no Christians.
We got the heathens.
We got the heathens here. No Christians here. They're all in the troll room. Of course, you can join in on any day that we... Well, actually, it's 24/7, the No Agenda stream. You can find it at trollroom.io. You got the troll room there, and you have the live stream you can listen to or use one of the modern podcast apps that... that we're pioneering outside of the system so that your favorite podcast can't be taken down. And we have all these great new features, including the live systems. We call it Lit. So if you use Podverse or Podcast Addict, CurioCaster, and soon here Fountain as well, you get an alert. You tap right into where you get all your podcasts, and you can chat along, troll along, and listen to the live stream. And of course, you also get your podcast there. And you can import your podcast from other apps, the legacy apps, the ones that control what you can hear. Like Apple and Spotify. Get with it, people. Follow us on the Mastodon, noagendasocial.com. I'm Adam at noagendasocial.com. He's John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com. It's a great place to hang out before you figure out what nostril is. I just love that you call it nostril. It's so cool. But really, that is where people talk and hang out, and of course we're federated. So if we're not blocked, then you can follow us from any Mastodon account. And the artists also hang out there quite a bit. That's kind of where they guessed, who is going to be the winner of the art, because we do pick a piece of art after every single show as uploaded to noagendaartgenerator.com. And we want to thank the artist for episode 1544, Nico Syme, as we know him, who brought us the Monday cupcake. A muffin, I'm sorry, no muffins on Monday for Google, which was just as simple. I mean, a lot of people have done versions of a muffin, although I will say that now that I look at this, it does look more like a cupcake than a muffin, but we'll let that slide. Let's see.
Especially with the little top thing of frosting. Yeah.
By the way, I got a note from one of our producers, and I thought it was, we were wondering, because this was part of the story about Google clamping down on muffins on Monday and staplers. And Bob says, my first real job in 1989 at a university, this is the content you don't get if you skip over the donation segment. I shared a communal office with my boss. She had so many staplers. And this is the problem. We were wondering why Google has so many staplers, and now they cut back on the staplers, and you could only get the stapler from the central desk. What was the problem? So Bob says she had so many staplers. I finally realized it was easier for her to order a new stapler because it comes filled with staples rather than figure out how to add staplers to the old stapler. I think that's what's going on.
You're saying that they're so stupid at Google they don't know how to put staples into a stapler?
I think most of them can't tell analog time.
That's probably true, and they probably can't use a handheld can opener.
Exactly. I think it's very possible. Like, I'm going to have to figure out how to put staplers in this thing. Just let me go get a new one from the supply room. I completely believe the Googlers are that way. And it was rampant. Stapler abuse. Good title. Stapler.
It's actually a believable story.
Yeah. Well, that's our boots on the ground, man. People know what's going on. So let's see. What else did we look at in the art world from our artists for the previous episode? We had
there really wasn't that much that was knocking us over.
Well, we kind of liked Tanta Neal's cutback, but the muffin didn't look like a muffin. It looked like a house. And no offense. We both kind of like the Banana O Communist Republic from Capitalist Agenda. I would say that was a runner-up for sure. With the fist coming out of the banana.
Oh, yeah, the fist coming out of the banana, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was a runner-up.
I liked it, but it wasn't... I would have probably gone with the way I used in the newsletter, which was Darren O'Neill's No Agenda Now with Fiber, before I got the fist.
And that was you did use that in the newsletter. Yeah, it was simple piece. What else did we have?
Then there was a lot of takeoffs of the hand with too many fingers.
Yeah, that was okay. And the Doge dog, which wrong, is just triggering. Stop it. The Townsend Neal did a.
By the way, the Doge dog is gone on my Twitter feed now.
Oh goodness, let me check. Let me see if the Doge dog is gone. Yeah, because we got to get the Fed Now puppy. I wonder what the Fed Now. I'm telling you, I'm feeling the Fed Now thing is going to be Elon's first foray. I'm calling it.
There's a nice sacrilegious piece that's coming up.
Oh, there's no second best, that one?
No, Go Back by Francisco Scaramanga. It's funny, but it's very, very bad.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the way it works is after the show, we take a look at the artists who obviously have been listening live, and then we choose a piece. We try to have three separate elements: the opening quote, the title, and the art, all different but somehow related, never the same. Sometimes they are. It does happen. It happened recently, in fact. And we're just tickled pink with all the love and attention that artists put into it. We feel it really helps. No, I think it's proven that it helps with people drawing attention to the show. It certainly draws it. Well, not on Twitter anymore because no one sees me. But it's hot on the nostrils. The nostril people love our art, so I'll keep.
Yeah, posting. All 5 of them.
Yeah, I'll keep. Oh yeah, it's a little more than 5. I'll keep posting it there. But of course, in Mastodon, that's where it really comes to life, and we appreciate that so much. And Nico Syme, thank you so much for your courage and for producing that great piece of art for episode 1544. Along with our value for value model, because that's what it is. I mean, you send us a boots on the ground report. I find the stapler boots on the ground that's very valuable. So we appreciate that, Bob. People can do art. Many people do things like our Knight Sir Daniel there, who does the No Agenda Meetup website. There's so much that's being done. Void Zero. I mean, just people doing stuff everywhere to make this show work. Yes?
I was going to say, now that I'm thinking, I'm still stuck in my brain, rattling around. That has to be correct. That the reason that they have the stapler in this memo is because people are actually ordering new staplers. Maybe they actually think that you have to order a new stapler for this fantastic purpose of, not realizing that you can replace the staples. That has to be it.
That's why I put it in my notes. I'm like, this is clearly what's going on.
It's unbelievable. But there's no other explanation.
Is it really unbelievable? I think it's completely
believable. I mean, I didn't know some of these people. I didn't know they're that dumb.
We should add this to the test. Okay, see if you have a Zoomer who could make a phone call on a rotary phone, see if they can tell time on an analog clock, and see if they can replenish the stapler. It's like the Turing test for morons.
There's got to be even more than those. Those are 3. I think we can get it to 5 or 6. I would like to solicit the audience to dream up more millennial questions to see.
Well, millennials, I would say Zoomers. Let's take Zoomers.
To disqualify Zoomers for taking a position in the company.
So pronouns you're immediately out.
Oh, no, pronouns, you're out.
You're out with pronouns. But if you can't replenish the stapler, you cannot work in the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group. This is our new hiring practice. Yes, we discriminate. And we're proud of it.
Well, if you're a small enough company, you can get away with a lot of this stuff.
Let's thank our executive and associate executive producers for episode 1545. And we kick it off right away. This was quite the Easter surprise this morning from Baron Zimbabwe, who says, sorry, donation is late. Baron Zimbabwe of Shotziland and Baroness Marianne Schneeberger from Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, Great Britain, with $3,333.
Wow.
I mean, you're blown away by the stapler thing. This is what blew me away. And you're late? I don't know. I mean, they've been around. They've been supporting us.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what he meant by late, but on time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, this is value for value. This may not be much for the Baron and the Baroness. Maybe that's easy for them. It certainly feels like a great amount of value to us. But even if it's $33 and that's value to you, we're happy. So thank you so much, Baron Zimbabwe and Baroness Marianne.
What's interesting? Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to go into the next one, but I'm going to also point out that our top 3 donors, all in 4 figures or so, all from overseas, no Americans.
Oh, that's an excellent point. But we're too outraged about trans men in sports or something. We're too busy.
Maybe they're liking us as an early warning system.
Well, they're in trouble. I'll tell you that because clearly you're in the enemy camp. You're about to become Chinese.
Okay, Jaron Von Wick in Utrecht.
Well, it should be Utrecht. I'm not sure who spelled this.
Utrecht.
This is not
Netherlands.
This is incorrect spelling.
It could be, or unless there's some town you don't know about. $1,000. Dear John and Adam, you rock media, reset my brain, and are entertain pros. All screwball new words. Herewith, my value for value. Requesting my table space for Sir Suzuki from the Dutch city of Saint Martin.
Oh.
Please smack my bro, Peter Pan, with a little slap in the face. Douchebag. Oh, Jeroen
van Wijk. Jeroen van Wijk in Utrecht. Thank you very much, yes. Jeroen. And then we have Peter van der Hulst at Bleiswijk. These are good. I'm sure they really would like you. I'll read the note, but could you just pronounce their name and town?
Peter van Hulst at Bleiswijk.
The Dutch, they play this at their meetups,
I'm sure they do. Hi, boys.
Hi, John and Adam. Big thanks from Holland for dragging us through the whole COVID shitstorm. Your show helped me and my buddy Jeroen a lot. Oh, they're buddies.
Oh, they're buddies.
So as appreciation, Jeroen, who will be called Sir Suzuki from now on forward, and I both just donated $1,000. My knighthood abbreviation would be Sir Hulst from the Dutch city of Bilthoven. Oh, Bilthoven. Oh, he wants Bilthoven. That's a very posh pronunciation. It's Bilthoven, but that's how you pronounce it in Bilthoven. It's kind of uppity nose in the air.
Uppity is the word.
Sir Hulst from the Dutch city of Bilthoven. Again, thanks for everything. Keep up the good work, guys. Best regards, Peter van der Hulst. Thank you, Peter and Jeroen, conspiring together. You guys are the stars of today's donation segment. Thank you.
Well, actually, Baron Zimbabwe.
Yes, of course, the Baron and the Baroness
joins that.
Yes. It's two
Anonymous, meanwhile, from Greensboro, Georgia. $500.71 from Anonymous. Sent $500. Wish I could send more. You guys are amazing. The legacy media is a portal to hell. The legacy media. Well, let me get this.
Yeah, do it.
The legacy media is a portal to hell. Might be usable.
I think so.
And you all are doing God's work. Happy birthday, John. May you forever never find an exit strategy. Thank you both. Sincerely, Anonymous from Georgia. P.S. I've been on the layaway plan for a while requesting a proper de-douching.
Yep.
You've been de-douched.
And karma for the whole No Agenda community.
You've got karma.
Just another example of value for value. There was a request on the previous show for a Gene Wilder jingle, which we did not have, but now we have not one.
What knockers?
But we have two.
It's alive! I got hairy legs. Yeah, It's Alive is his best one.
Yeah, but did you hear what he said at the end? Because you were kind of laughing over it.
Oh, no, I did. I stepped on it.
Let me hear it. Yeah, here we go.
It's alive! I got hairy legs. Okay.
From Anonymous, we go to Sir B of Chattahoochee, Alpharetta, Georgia. I hope I'm doing that right. $400. Yeah. John and Adam, thank you for being educators. Well, I've been called a lot of things. I've never been called an educator. Thank you. The ability to effectively counter mainstream arguments with reasoned and logical responses is largely due to the No Agenda show. One day, I hope to shake your hand, look you in the eye, and express my gratitude properly. Love and light, no jingles, no karma. Sir B of Chattahoochee. Well, sure. I mean, no. Well, we should have a meetup in Georgia. I was in Georgia not too long ago. I was in...
Georgia's great.
Yeah, Georgia is great. Thank you, sir.
Sir Bitcoin, 345. ITM, did John ever receive a Bitcoin Alpha version 01 source code book sent to 339? Yes. In March of 2022. Sir Bitcoin. Answer is yes. I did get something. I didn't know what it was. And I didn't have an explanation with it or a note.
Oh, that's too bad. Then he sent that in Bitcoin, which is nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Lady Rebecca, Pinehurst, North Carolina, 333.34, Lent donation number 3. Now I see what's going on. Lady Rebecca's doing a whole sequence. For all the Catholics to come back to Mass. Lady Rebecca of Pinehurst, soon to be Dame Rebecca of Pinehurst, with this donation. That's right. She'll be a lady today. Wishing a very blessed Easter to all. Love you guys. Thank you, Lady Rebecca. It's very
Is she on the list? It's not marked.
I think let me just double check. I'm pretty sure she is.
Well, while you look it up, I'll talk about Greg Hoy in Orinda over here.
No, I think what she was saying was soon to be on with this donation.
Soon to be, okay.
So I think one more donation and then she's on.
Well, wait, it says soon to be Dame of Pinehurst with this donation.
Well, it is number 3. I'm going to say we make sure she becomes a dame because I don't want to miss it on this important day for her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be.
I think so too. I think so too.
Greg Hoy in Orinda, California. Hop to it. Get it? Have a most excellent episode, emphatically extruding eclectic Easter entrenched ephemera, eviscerating every evildoer except evidentially Edgar Eisenhower. Even brothers got to work it out.
All right. Code.
Okay.
Code, but we like it. David Mertens in Edmond, Oklahoma, 333.
By the way, I'm sorry, Greg was 333.33.
Yes, and 333.33 for David Mertens, Edmond, Oklahoma. No note from him that we could find. Did you find the note from David? I didn't see anything.
No.
Then we'll give him a double up karma.
You've got double up karma.
So I'll grab this from Quint Y. Newell, 333.33, Olympia, Washington. Switcheroo. In the morning, Adam and John, happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. Please credit my beautiful bride of 17 years, Kimberly Anna, a.k.a. Hardcore Mama, with this donation. A proper de-douching, please.
You've been de-douched.
Happy anniversary, babe. Glad you started listening. Thanks, guys. He is risen. So do we credit, I would like to credit Hardcore Mama. I think that's...
I think you could put her name, a.k.a. Hardcore Mama.
Okay.
That would work.
All right. Kimberly and a.k.a. Hardcore Mama. I just like Hardcore Mama.
Yeah, you seem to like that name cool. For some unknown reason. Nobody really understands. 333 comes from Sir Fur. And he wrote a note in, which I do have opened here. ITM John and Adam, this is another switcheroo on behalf of Neil Jones, the clip custodian.
Oh, okay.
A while back, some producer kicked off a knighthood drive for Neil. It would be nice to get that ball rolling again. I request yak karma for all producers. Love is lit. Black Baron Sir Fur of Orlando.
You bet, man. Here it comes.
You've got...
P.S. Happy birthday, John.
Yes, and the clip custodian, even on Easter, he sent me some clips, as always. I appreciate that. And he's in the credits. I don't know how much more he has to go. I hope someone's keeping track of that for him.
Well, he should.
Sir Cal in Northville, Michigan. That's not Sir Cal of Lavender Birthday, is it? Lavender Birthday.
Blossoms.
Lavender Blossoms.
Lavender Birthday.
Whoops.
No, that's the girl over here.
Yeah. 27171. Well, that's obvious. It's a happy birthday JCD from Sir Cal. I don't know. I'm still thinking it might be Cal from Lavender Blossoms. But that
sounds good to me.
I think so. LavenderBlossoms.org, just in case.
Up in Petaluma, California is Brenda Romano, $250. And she says, hello, no agenda. This is a shout out to you, John and Adam, for continuing to advocate for free thought and open discussion. Happy 1 year, Annie, to my husband, Michael Romano. I need a de-douching and a goat scream.
You've been de-douched.
Please read on Sunday, April 16th. Well, that's not going to happen.
You need to resend that note to us. Let's just explain this. It's very important people understand. There is no actual birthday list. You have to email us the day before the show when you want it mentioned. And if you want something read on a certain date, you have to send it to us before that show because we do not have the mechanism.
We have a show to do. We're not a couple of bookkeepers.
Well, there you go. That's a nice way of putting it. John, thank you. That sounds so friendly. Anonymous in Greeley, Colorado. Short Row of Ducks, 222. Thank you for all you do. That's short and sweet. Thank you.
Baron Sir OG, Godcaster in Riverside, California. And he writes, whoa, I just noticed that this Sunday's donation places me in the Baron level. Total donation is $3,024.97, accounting attached. New tighter. Sir OG Godcaster, servant of God and protector of the lovely Lady Lee Ann. And he also writes he spells the word woe, WOAH, as opposed to I think it's HOA. But it turns out that both spellings seem to be acceptable to Merriam-Webster.
I've always spelled the WOAH, and that's Steve Webb, who is currently Baronet Sir OG Godcaster and becomes a Baron today. That's what happens with him. And a switcheroo at $200.42 from John J. Sway, 33, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. And it's a switcheroo for Chad Finkbeiner from wife Jillian. Oh, this is nice. Chad, 43 years of the sun circling around you. Happiest of birthdays to you. Keep your face always towards the sun, and the shadows will fall behind you. Step lightly. Do not harm. Honor each other, the earth, and ourselves. From John, glad to have shared no agenda with you years ago. You are strong and a good man, and Cleveland, Ohio, well. Miss you after moving to Florida, but we share no agenda. You are one of the best friends I have had and a brother in life. Love, light, and weed. Your wife, Jillian, and buddy John, and your Bowsy and Maisie. The pups. Oh, I'm sorry. There was some jingles here that I missed. Fear is freedom. Okay, we got that one. And what else do you need? Rev Al. Okay. And then there's a request for Trump clip, funny one. Okay. All right. I'll just make one up. Let's start with that one.
They did dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
R-E-S-P-I-C-T.
Fear is freedom. Subjugation is liberation. Contradiction is truth. Those are the facts of this world. And you will all surrender to them. You pigs in human clothing.
And John J. Sway also says, check out JSway33. That's J.Sway33 on Apple Music to Instagram to YouTube. Okay, you get lots of followers. Thank you so much.
Well, a Mr. Von Saar.
Mouden Von Saar.
Mouden in Barneveld, Wisconsin.
Barneveld.
ITM, job karma for my son. Jingle, donate to no agenda. Gregorian's chant style. Love and light. Mouden Von Saar. Or is it Von Saar?
I missed that one too. What was that called? Donate to no agenda.
I think it's just called donate, isn't it? As you look for it. Well, I could read another one.
Oh, hold on. What is that called again? Oh, I got it. Yeah. So I think this is it.
Donate to no agenda. They give ushers week after week. Donate to no agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to no agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to no agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
Yes, it's that's a classic. A classic. And then we're almost done here, aren't we? What else?
We are done with Darius Miller in Bellevue, Nebraska. He says ITM, he needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And he needs a rebelizer, and he says after that, thank you, bye.
Okay, we know where the rebelizer out. I'm sorry. For some reason, I didn't see these.
India, Tango, Mike, stand by. 33, 33. Rebelizer out.
Now I have a question. Do you want to go through and do them all, or do you want to get back? And,
I think it's too long.
I think it's a little too long as well. Thank you to these executive and associate executive producers who have supported us in such fantastic ways on this Easter. Now you do get the coveted Easter special executive or associate executive producer, as per the newsletter, which is a little bit more extra special than the rest. I mean, if you put it in IMDb, executive producer of the No Agenda Easter Special Show 2023, that does outdo some others. So it is kind of a special thing, and we appreciate you doing that. And unlike the phonies in Hollywood, we will gladly vouch for you if anyone questions the validity of these, because they are just as good as anything in Hollywood. If you'd like to become a producer of the No Agenda Show, go here.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thank you again for supporting episode 1545.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave. Shut up, slave.
I feel like we've done so much already. Would you like to? We can do a couple things here. There is some latent COVID stuff that seems to be popping up. Oh, let's not skip that. That's annoying. Oh yes, I have a climate change clip which I think is necessary to at least play because just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it could.
It's one of the most exciting parts of the game. The crack of the bat, the moment you know it's gone.
It's gone!
And this morning, a new study suggests one reason why sluggers may be hitting it out of the park a little bit more often, climate change.
There is a pretty simple physical mechanism going on here, which is that when temperatures rise, the air gets less dense, meaning that there is less air resistance for balls flying through the air.
The study, led by Dartmouth College scientists, analyzed 100,000 major league games and more than 200,000 balls hit in play. Their findings, games played in warmer temperatures can lead to more home runs because of a reduction in ballpark air density.
We were able to isolate the role of climate change by using what we call climate model simulations.
Christopher Callahan, the lead author on the study, says since 2010, more than 500 home runs can be attributed to global warming. Over the last 40 years, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says the average U.S. temperature in June, July, and August has increased by more than 2 degrees. Scientists saying outdoor stadiums like Wrigley Field in Chicago, which host a lot of day games, will likely see larger increases in home run rates over enclosed stadiums. Home runs have seen previous surges like in 2019 when the MLB even changed the size of its baseballs to decrease the distance of travel. ESPN's Buster Olney says, whatever the reason, an increase in home runs is good for the game.
We saw at the end of last year when Aaron Judge was chasing the American League record for home runs, everybody in baseball was watching that. Fans were excited by that.
Is there a problem with baseball ticket sales or something? Does it air on ABC, the network, or what is this bull crap?
Well, first of all, we have to realize that they were paid to do this study by someone.
Yeah.
So there's still money in global warming.
Yep.
I think baseball's up a little bit because they've changed a bunch of rules and they're making the game faster. Now they have a pitch clock. So you have to throw the ball within so many seconds. And again, the batter can't keep getting in and out of the batter's box and adjusting himself. And
Major League Baseball on ABC, I believe. So that
would be probably
house ad. It's a house ad.
House, yeah, everything's a house, especially ABC, owned by Disney. They do more of these than anyone else. So I have a couple of clips that might be good in this spot.
Okay.
First of all, since you talked about global warming, let's go to the Brazil deforestation clip.
Oh, no.
Deforestation was up again last month in Brazil's Amazon. March's rate of destruction in the world's largest rainforest rose 14% over last year's figures. That's despite promises by the new leftist government to crack down on illegal activity. NPR's Carrie Kahn reports.
According to Brazil's space research agency known as INPE, more than 130 square miles of the Amazon within the country were cleared of trees and vegetation in March. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has launched enforcement crackdowns since taking office January 1st, pledging to reverse years of permissive illegal clear-cutting and mining by his predecessor. Former far-right President Jair Bolsonaro slashed environmental protections and prosecutions. Brazil's space agency surveys the Amazon from August to July to avoid cloud cover during the rainy season. In the first 8 months of that reporting period, deforestation rose nearly 40% compared to the previous year.
I got to go back to that baseball story. So what will happen to golf? Do they have to now turn all par threes to par fours? Because people are going to be hitting the ball
the other way around.
No.
Yeah, because if ball's going to go further, so you have to
make it a par four. Oh, no, par two. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Right. Hello.
It have to be a par six.
Don't talk to Adam about sports ball.
Sports ball. Well, I was going to point out that De Silva's a big talker, the big leftist. He goes in there, and then this thing gets worse. But okay.
Well, but hold on.
How about bowling?
Bowling? But how about actually, climate change helps because I'll be using less gas to go as fast in my car. I mean, it'd actually be good. Climate change.
Where's that story? You're absolutely right.
Climate change is good for stopping climate change. And so it should actually keep it in check. What else can we think of?
Yeah, it's self-limiting.
This is so bogative.
Bogative.
It really is. It's so.
They got paid. This is just a moneymaker.
We're stupid. We're dumb. We're the dummies here. We're the dummies. Working for podcast and peanuts.
We're podcasters and nothing we can do about it. We're doomed.
We're doomed. We can't make money writing about, the ball flying further. Sports ball. I would be great at writing about sports ball, wouldn't I? We'd be a great team. I'd be the guy who says something
I would
dumb.
Definitely be.
Saying something dumb. Do you have more climate change
Here's I got other stuff, though. How about this? Here's a good one. How about the NHS strike? How about this for your socialized medicine?
The UK's National Health Service will cancel up to 250,000 appointments and surgeries next week, with almost half of all British doctors walking out to protest low pay. The body representing British hospitals and healthcare systems said patient care, quote, rests on a knife edge because staff rotas will be stretched by tens of thousands of absences over 96 hours. Combined with the long holiday weekend over Easter and other senior doctors taking planned leave, the impact on the country's patient population could be unprecedented, health bosses say. The country's junior doctors are asking the government for a 35% pay increase to make up for what they call 15 years of eroding wages. The government's called this, quote, unreasonable. This is the second such strike in less than a month.
There's a lot going on in the UK, actually. The NHS also has reported a severe dentist shortage, quote, leaving patients stranded. Like, that's the last thing they needed to cut back on. We all know that. Rail chaos in the UK.
Yeah,
but
there's rail chaos.
There's also climate change stuff. Listen to this. Households could possibly be rationed on water and charged if they go over limit. Power showers.
I understand they're going to ration them on air.
Yeah. Power showers and dual flush toilets will be banned possibly. Germany, home of the Bratwurst und Kraut. Meat consumption drops to record low. Plant-based sales record high. Germany.
Says who?
Says the Vegan Business Magazine. Meanwhile, Italy, they have a bill on the table to ban lab-cultured meat. Good on you, Italy.
Good for them.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Not long.
And this Easter, activists in East Bristol were protesting in the meat aisle. Actually, this was pretty funny. I'm sorry to go back to climate change, but I forgot I had a whole bunch of stuff. One of our producers is a shareholder of UPS. And just to, he owns like 10 shares. He owns it to get, to be able to vote. And so he sends me the ballot, the vote, what passed and what didn't. So, there's all the nominees for the directors, everyone's 4. And they ratify the appointment of Deloitte and Touche as their independent registered public accountant. And then, listen to this. So these are all against. They voted. So the shareholders of UPS voted against the following: to reduce the voting power of UPS Class A stock from 10 votes per share to 1 vote per share. Of course they did. But then to adopt independently verified science-based greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. No, they voted against that. To prepare a report on integrating greenhouse gas emission reduction targets into executive compensation. No, we voted against that. To prepare a report on addressing the impact of UPS's climate change strategy on relevant stakeholders consistent with the Just Transition Guidelines, whatever that is. Nope, voted against that. To prepare a report on the risks or costs caused by state policies restricting reproductive rights. No, UPS will have none of that. To prepare a report on the impact of UPS's DE&I policies on civil rights, non-discrimination, and returns to merit and the company business. No, we're not going to do a report on that. And to prepare an annual report on the effectiveness of UPS's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. No, we're definitely not going to have that. So these people fail on all counts of their ESG score, I would say. Big fail. But meanwhile, on the other hand, and this is why it's so coincidental, we have the United States Postal Service. I keep getting email after email from mail carriers about this bull crap they're doing, and I put this particular producer's whole note except for any identifying information, so you can read it and just see how they're screwing the mail carriers, how they're making it impossible for them to even have a life working. And here's the conclusion. It seems that the post office is indeed being dismantled from the inside. I feel they want an Amazon-like service. No stable, long-time careers requiring retirement funds, TSPs, good health insurance, but rather people that come and go. I feel like they are keeping things alive long enough to get through the next mail-in presidential election before pulling the pin altogether. And, of course, just like every other national mail service, I think, in the world, they have, UPS or FedEx or someone come in and take over because it's not working, it's not efficient. It's being destroyed. It's being destroyed from the inside. And that makes total sense to me.
Well, something in there that he said is kind of, they may think twice about the
mail-in ballots.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, isn't it?
Yep.
Because, if I were them, I would sabotage that. I'm not saying you should, but if you're angry enough, you know what? We're just not going to do any ballots. We got no time. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to go home, wasn't feeling well. You're screwing me anyway, so just left them over there by the side of the road. They could find themselves in actually, I should read his final note here. On a positive note, many of us listen religiously to No Agenda. We have this ability while on the street to listen to you and many other podcasts, stay well informed, and stand against the COVID tyranny together. We encourage each other and hit our coworkers in the mouth unabashedly while casing every morning. It must have been dystopian for people during lockdown living in Dimension B to look out their window and see one of us casually delivering mail and soaking up that sweet, sweet vitamin D. That's right. Of course, we know mail carriers are big No Agenda fans and big podcast listeners in general.
Yeah, something they can do.
Yeah.
I have to comment on something you just played. The voted no against the guidelines for a just transition.
Oh, yeah, thank you. You looked that up, didn't you?
What is that? Well, guidelines for a just transition towards environmentally sustainable economies and societies for all.
Woo!
This comes from the International Labor Organization.
Oh, of course it does.
Well, who's the International Labor Organization,
A bunch of Maoist commies.
The International Labor Organization, according to Wikipedia, is a United Nations agency whose mandate is to advance social and economic justice by setting international labor standards, founded in 1919 under the League of Nations.
Oh, this is OG.
This is original, yeah. This is old crap. It's the first and oldest specialized agency of the UN.
Wow.
It's bull crap is what it is. Whoever heard of this?
Yeah. Bull crap, Mom.
Bull crap.
That's part of the Sustainable Development Goals.
It won the Nobel Peace Prize for 1969 somehow.
Oh, great. Groovy. Yeah.
Here it is. It received a Nobel Peace Prize for improving fraternity and peace among nations, pursuing decent work and justice. I don't see any evidence of this. There's still people working for 10 cents an hour here and there.
Really?
Yeah, really.
In America?
No, not in America. This is an international group, not American.
So what is the international group? Why are they trying to force our companies into doing stuff?
Because they can.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds good. Luckily, we have companies that have the no vote.
Yeah. I thought this was a very funny clip. You know, out of desperation, what else can we do? The ProPublica decided time to take down Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. We can do it.
Yeah, I have a Clarence Thomas clip too.
Oh, I want to hear. So the idea here is, of course, he's a MAGA Republican. His wife was, she practically led the insurrection. And she's white.
Yeah, it's her fault.
And she's white. It's all wrong. Everything's wrong with this man. He's wrong.
Well, this is from NTD. This is Justice Thomas BS.
Justice Clarence Thomas is addressing criticisms that he failed to disclose luxury trips he took with a billionaire. This stems from a report yesterday from investigative journalism group ProPublica. The report catalogs various trips that Thomas accepted from Republican megadonor and businessman Harlan Crow. The report says that for more than 2 decades, Thomas has gone on luxury trips aboard Crow's yacht and private jet and vacationed at Crow's private resorts. ProPublica alleges that the justice failed to report the trips on financial disclosure forms. In a rare statement sent via the Supreme Court's Public Information Office, Thomas said that the trips he took with Crow were personal hospitality from close personal friends, and that he didn't disclose them at the time because he was advised that he didn't have to report such trips. Thomas says Crow and his wife are among his family's dearest friends.
Yeah, of course, I don't think any Supreme Court justice really wants this to continue much longer. I mean, John Roberts might have to report that he was at Epstein Island. That would be kind of lame, which we have photographic evidence of. So maybe not cool. But, let's...
Well, as I said in the newsletter, this is a lame attempt by the Democrats to embarrass the justice, maybe just as a long shot possibility, get him to resign so Biden can put one Supreme Court justice in because he's got no shot at it.
I thought ABC did a much better job.
Justice Clarence Thomas has long described himself as a simple man with simple tastes.
I prefer the RV parks. I prefer the Walmart parking lots to the beaches and things like that. There's something normal to me about it. I come from regular stock.
But according to a new report from the nonprofit journalist...
how good is that?
What a chicken shit hit job.
It's so good. I want to play that again. I'll play the whole
beautiful.
Report. It's so good.
Justice Clarence Thomas has long described himself as a simple man with simple tastes.
I prefer the RV parks. I prefer the Walmart parking lots.
What's the music doing in the background? Somebody playing the banjo or something.
It's probably from some profile piece that was done 100 years ago.
I bet you they put it in.
No, I'm telling you, this comes from some profile piece where he's literally really like, I like our national parks.
I got it. And he's probably got a straw in his
He's got a straw hat and a straw between his
straw
teeth.
hat and a piece of wheat.
And his white wife. Oh, no, he's got a white wife.
Tastes.
I prefer the RV parks. I prefer the Walmart parking lots to the beaches and things like that.
Wait, hold on a second. The Walmart parking lot to the beaches?
Well,
what are you doing, sunning yourself in the Walmart park? What is he talking about?
Well, Walmart...
This seems out of context to me. But
well, I'll tell you. So this is about RVing, basically. Walmart has always allowed people to park their RVs and park them overnight. You could actually just sleep in your car at Walmart overnight.
Okay.
I think it's even guarded. I think they have guards to protect people who... Yeah, Walmart has always been known as the RVer's paradise. We can stay overnight if we can't find any other place to go.
Got it. Tastes.
I prefer the RV parks. I prefer the Walmart parking lots to the beaches and things like that. There's something normal to me about it. I come from regular stock.
But according to a new report from the nonprofit journalism site ProPublica, Justice Thomas has accepted lavish vacation trips from a Republican mega donor without disclosing them for more than 20 years. The report says Justice Thomas island hopped on a super yacht through Indonesia's Lesser Sunda Island, took annual retreats at the luxury Adirondack Resort Camp Top Ridge, and all-male retreats at the exclusive Bohemian Grove in California. All trips that would cost a small fortune.
I love throwing Bohemian Grove in there. Oh, man, he's an elite. He's at Bohemian Grove. All-male retreat. Suspicious. Suspect. This is where you go. I was at Bohemian Grove.
I was at Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, and it wasn't all that great.
It was fun.
Yeah, well,
but it's just a bunch of drunks, to be honest about it.
Now, did you light the owl, or how'd that work out?
The owl, so there's an owl at Bohemian Grove.
A bunch of drunks.
You want me to tell this story?
Yeah, I do. I want you to just go back and say it's a bunch of drunks, and then launch into the owl.
Oh, the drunks, unbelievable. There's two observations I made. One of the guys taking me around, he's hanging. He's the photographer for the place. We're chatting, and he says, "You want to see the owl?" I may have suggested, what's about this owl? Because there's this owl. They keep showing in all the pictures of this great owl, and there's all this, they're butchering babies in front of it or something. So he says, yeah, the owl. And he says, so he takes me to the owl. The owl is an old tree, an old stump. It is rotted out. There's no owl anymore. It's just a mess.
Oh.
It's overgrown with ferns. It looks terrible, but it is what was left of the owl. I guess the owl dissolved in the 40s or something. This owl is bull crap. So let's start with the bull crap. Now, the second thing I thought was interesting, and I've always thought about doing this myself. If you go out at night with a flashlight or something, you're roaming around just for whatever reason, looking for booze. As you're walking, there's all this noise. There's crickets and frogs and all this stuff going on. And if you stop for more than like 20 seconds and you don't move, because I got suspicious, boom, the sound goes away.
Oh, really? So it's manufactured?
Yeah. And so you walk around somewhere, there it starts up again, frogs and crickets and all this racket. I thought that was fascinating.
You've never told this part of the story. That is new. I've never heard this.
Yeah. I always found that to be interesting, that they manufacture this woodsy sound. So when you're out, it seems like there's something going on. There's nothing.
So it's a bunch
dead silent.
It's a bunch of drunk dudes with a burnt out owl.
Oh, the owl's a joke.
With a jokey owl, and with
they also have a couple of stages. They have a lot of stages in the different camps too.
Oh.
Steve Miller, for example, has his own camp.
You mean from Macho City, Steve Miller?
Steve Miller, the singer, yeah.
Yeah, Macho City, or fly like an owl.
That guy,
yeah. Owl, yeah.
He's got a stage, a big stage, and you can't get in. Wow. It's like there's all these, there's hundreds of camps.
Another thing,
more.
I'm glad I asked, because you didn't tell me about this either. I didn't know about Steve Miller having a stage.
Oh yeah, he's got a big stage, and they pack every night. He does a concert with his boys, and you just can't get into it. It's just there's the stage is it's a pretty big area, but it's just impossible to get into these performances.
Wow. And motion detected wildlife.
Yeah, still cracks me up when I think about it.
Wow. Well, since you have the talking stick, here's a story that we might have glossed over it, but I figure you could just say something about it. Listen to the story.
This week we highlight another life well lived. Silicon Valley is synonymous with the bold, brilliant innovators who have revolutionized the way we live. The man who first saw the potential of the very silicon that gives the valley its name was one of the boldest and most brilliant of them all.
Gordon Moore was raised the son of a county sheriff in the small Northern California town of Pescadero. After earning his doctorate in chemistry from the California Institute of Technology, he worked at a number of laboratories and companies where he became fascinated with the potential of silicon microchips to process data and power computers. In 1965, he coined Moore's Law, still a guiding philosophy in the tech industry, which stated the power of silicon chips would double every couple of years. In 1968, Moore and his colleague Robert Noyce founded their own company, Integrated Electronics Corporation, or Intel for short. Their company's microprocessors are found in just about anything electronic. An innovator who changed the world died last week at home in Hawaii. He was 94 years old.
Now, I will just say that they did not get Moore's Law correct there because it was doubled and half the price. But that, of course, has been forgotten with the idiots at NPR. Do you have anything to say about Gordon Moore? Because I'm sure, did you know him?
I met him a few times.
Okay.
But I never went to his house for dinner, so I don't really.
So not a friend. Not a friend.
But he was one of the guys. I think there were I forgot how many there were. I think there was 4 or 8, something like that. He was at Fairchild Semiconductor, which is always left out of this story.
Oh.
And Fairchild, Fairchild was run by. There was Shockley Labs, which was the original place. I don't know if he ever worked there.
Wait, Shockley is the guy who had the idea for the transistor, who got it from the aliens?
Yes.
Okay, right. And never came up with anything cool again?
That's my understanding. Yeah. In fact, George Morrow used to work for Shockley, and he says the rumor around the labs was that the old man lost it because he couldn't dream up anything other than this transistor. So Shockley Labs, I think Moore was at Shockley Labs, and with Noyce and a bunch of other guys, he quit Shockley Labs to form Fairchild Semiconductor, which I worked at when I was in high school.
Ah, there we go. What did you do at Fairchild Semiconductor?
I was in the chip growing, the crystal growing lab. And we grew crystals. That's when we used to grow crystals in this country. When I was a kid, we grew our own crystals.
Wait, like crystals like I used to have in my scanner?
Well, that's what would be part of it. The crystal itself is a long turd-like thing. Ooh. That is then chopped up into wafers and then...
I see. So you were growing crystals. That's when you got the invite to Bohemian Grove, right?
No. That's funny. And so that was at Fairchild. And then Fairchild, Robert Noyce and a bunch of other guys...
I want to stop you for a second.
Yeah?
No one knows about explain what the crystals were for. Why were you growing crystals? I mean, with these people today only know crystals that they hang around their neck. Woo, crystal! I charged it in the moonlight. People need to know about crystals. What is it? How do they grow? Why do you need them? Where do they go in?
Oh, it's so complicated. The crystals are grown in a big vat of boiling silicon. And it's like a candle, and there's like a thing that goes in it. It's not like quite a stick, but you start pulling. It's called pulling the crystal, and you start pulling it out of this mess, and it starts to crystallize as it comes out, and it just comes out, and you get this thing. This is back in the day when the crystals were only like, I don't know, inch maybe 2 inches wide, as opposed to today's crystals, which are 14 inches wide. Mm-hmm. Done in Germany mostly, I think. And I don't even think we grow them here anymore. But they had a bunch of these devices that would pull these crystals, and you'd pull one of these things out, I think it took about maybe a whole shift. It was all women that were doing the crystal pulling. And my job description, I was a foreman. So my job description in high school, because you needed a guy.
You told the women, get out, grow crystals.
This guy who's my supervisor takes me into his office, and this is his instructions. He pulls open a drawer and grabs one of the crystals that's in his desk drawer, puts it on the desk, and he says to me, "These crystals are worth $1,000 a piece. Do not ever tell those women that."
Wow.
That was my job. My job was not to tell the women that these crystals that they were growing were worth $1,000 a piece. So there you have it. It's different today's world.
15 years, I've never heard the crystal growing story. I'm blown away. Keep going. I'm loving it.
I got a million of them. So Moore and Noyce and a few other people, a group of them, wanted to do, they dreamed up this idea of integrated electronics, which they weren't doing at Shockley and they weren't doing at Fairchild for sure. Fairchild was making chips, I think, and along with a lot of audio gear that was quite nice.
Oh, that's right. Fairchild, the audio company, of course.
Yeah, they made those big, giant 16-inch transcription readers. Anyway,
wow.
So they quit. This story, I don't know if it's ever been put in print, but just Morrow told me this part. They quit to form Intel. And so the guys at Fairchild were all irked because this is like their best people. I think Moore was like the head of R&D or something. And so they got pissed off and they said, we're going to sue Intel out of business. Shockley got word of that since Fairchild came out of Shockley. And Shockley said, you sue them and I'm suing you. Because Fairchild wouldn't exist without Shockley.
Right.
So that gave Intel a free rein, and they became the company they are today.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
I got a million of them.
I thank you. We're actually working on 16 years. I've never heard about the crystals or the crystal pulling or the growing or the foremanship or the $1,000. This is a good day.
Yeah,
a good
the $1,000 story is quite funny.
It's a good day. Yes,
I think I've kept my. I don't have it here.
Your journal, your crystal pulling journal?
No, I can't. I still have my Fairchild badge.
Oh man, how cool is that?
I was employee 7379.
Now, did Fairchild? Didn't they make cabinets that for the B3 Hammond organs, or am I thinking of something else?
I don't know. I think you're thinking of something else.
Fairchild amps.
They may have made amps. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not at this facility.
It's good shit.
But I do want to thank. In the meantime, thank a few people, starting with Christina Detmer in Phillipsburg, Kansas, $100, and it's to Jordan.
Oh.
Thanks for putting up with me for the last 12 years, she writes.
Okay. All right.
Think that you can use anyone wants to send us money to make messages, we'll do it. Alan Fletcher's $100, and he made it tonight, and he's going to be the Black Knight, Sir something Pope.
I think it's Sir Il Pope di Ciclismo.
All right, well, good.
I hope so. Yes.
Yvonne Fergus in Philadelphia from the DSN Dark Sewer Network. One with 4 eggs. Looking forward to having Mimi on to talk about her book.
Oh, promo.
$100.
Promotional.
Nice.
Yeah,
that'll be good. She loves it. She's been on a couple of things.
Podcast.
She talks.
I'll bet she does.
Sir Kevin McLaughlin, 8008, boob donation, along with Chris Gallion in Meridian, Idaho. Kevin, of course, is in Locust, North Carolina. Matthew McDaniel in Carrollton, Texas, 76 in the morning. John Fitzpatrick, Heber Springs, Arkansas, 75. Happy birthday, Philip Colborn in Warramoo, New South Wales, 7171. That is a happy birthday donation. Here's some happy birthday, $71 leftovers from my birthday last week. Sir Ray Jacobson in Ashland, Washington is 71. Theodora Dorinda Ongina in Haschendorf, Austria.
Oh, nice.
Happy birthday. Ryan Murph in Seabrook, Texas. Gregory Shenez in Lockport, New York. Mark Oliveri in Cedar Park, Texas. Did I pronounce? Yeah, Oliveri. I said he's thanking me for pronouncing his name correctly. Sir Pierre in Avon, Connecticut. Jessica Barrett in Levelland, Texas. John Paradise in Columbus, Ohio. Servant in Arlington, Washington. 11 late. Met Woodman. Gabriel Shelton in Fulton, New York. Brent Dombrowski in Castle Rock, Colorado. Surveilled in Palmetto, Florida. Top Notch Heating and Air in Manti, Utah. Baron of Belmont in Belmont, North Carolina. Ray Howard in Kremling, Colorado. Sir Gregory in Cincinnati, Ohio. Jeremy Gatska in Bakersfield. Sir BNA in Nashville, Tennessee is the last of the group. Mark Morley comes in from Kingston upon Surrey in UK 7007.
Pointy
and he
boobs.
needs a de-douching.
Pointy boobs. And,
You've been de-douched.
because you missed it, Gabriel Shelton and Matt Noland need de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Well, then while you're at it, Jason Cooper in Rock Hill, South Carolina wants to call out Jason from Concord as a D-bag. Douchebag. He came in with 6006. Eric Hochel in Mulrose, Deutschland, 52. Ryan Erickson in Lost Wages, Nevada, 5150.
Also wants a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Josiah Thomas, $51 in Ankeny, Iowa. Bad Idea Supply. I don't know where he's from. 5005. Joseph Gill, 5040. The birthday, I'm sorry, that was 5050. Joseph Gill is 5040, and he's got a birthday donation. We got him. And please shame and call out my freeloading mooch of a brother, Mark. Douchebag. Sir Michael Anthony, our buddy in Rosedale, New York. Thanks for the mention on Thursday. 5017.
He's the mayor.
He's the mayor. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio, 50. And these are all $50 donors. And I'll just go through them one after the other. Name and location. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee. Justin Cruz in Tehachapi, California. Robertson Home in Flint, Michigan. Capec Chiropractic, PLLC in Capec, Michigan. So if you're out of sorts, get a hold of Capec Chiropractic. George Woushett in Lavernia, Texas. Sir George. Corey Katz in Cave Creek, Arizona. Eric Carey in Crofton, Maryland. Nadia Borg in San Marcos. Christopher Rivera in Nederland, Colorado. William Dolgay in Bristolville, Ohio. And last on the list is Karen Wiley in Arvada, Colorado. And she says, happy birthday to me. So I want to thank all these people for making show 1545 a winner.
Yes, and Eric Carey came in. It's his first donation, first $50, so he would like a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
We also have a couple of notes for a knighting and a daming coming up. Alan Fletcher will be knighted as Black Knight. He should have been knighted on the March 30th show, but the back office messed up. Happened. Sorry, we're on it. And Summer Norris, her dame note sent, she sent an under 50 donation via a check and has now surpassed $1,000 and is being damed today. Oh, wait, there was a note, I believe. Did she have a note? Let me see. Here it is. Oh, yes, she sent a very pretty, nice handwriting, Summer. Warm wishes for an Easter filled with happiness and a spring that's bright with special joys.
We got that note as a card. And she's got very nice handwriting. But her name, if you just look on the card, you can't figure out how she spells her last name. It's just N-O something. And we looked on the thing as Norris.
Yes.
And so I always found it interesting. Someone has this perfect handwriting, but their signature is illegible.
I have been making monthly contributions since May of 2021. This check brings my total contributions to date of $1,092.26, including some extra donations. I'd like to be known as Dame Trail Boss of Woodhill Cove. Add some, what does this say? Albreda? Strawberry?
It sounds like it was a lager, I think, or some beer.
Oh, but is it Albreda, do you think?
Maybe Alfredo?
No.
A spaghetti?
No. Alreda. Alreda, maybe? Oh, man. I hate it when we can't read what you want. I'll have that I'll just say strawberry lager ale. And if anyone else knows what that is.
Yeah, it's a lager of sort.
Yeah, we'll give that to
I think it's the name. Alpharetta, maybe?
Alberta?
Oh, maybe.
This is very...
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's a lager, strawberry lager.
Yes, it looks like the nuns hit you with a ruler. That's how nice your handwriting is. Very nice. Thank you very much to these producers, these donors who support us, and also coming in under $50 for reasons of anonymity. And many of you are also on the sustaining donations, which with our weeklies, monthlies, per show. You can kind of make it up. And if you want to learn where to make it up, go here.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Goat Corner for everybody who needs it.
You've got karma.
Kind of a short list today, but we're happy to do it. John and Chad's wife, Jillian, wish Chad Finkbeiner happy birthday. Turns 43 years old today, as we read the note earlier. And Joseph Gill turns 40 tomorrow on the 10th. Happy birthday for everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes. Turn and face the slate. Title changes. Don't wanna be a douchebag.
And we heard Baronet Sir OG Godcaster Steve Webb coming earlier with his final donation to bring him up to Baron. And as of today, he becomes Baron Sir OG Godcaster, servant of God and protector of the lovely Lady Leanne. And we thank you very much and say hi to the lovely Lady Leanne. We hope to see you guys in Fredericksburg as we planned last year, but they got the COVID and couldn't come through. Then we have 2 dames, and we've got 3 knights. So we need the 5-pronged blade, which is 6 if you're using artificial intelligence.
It's in binary.
Up on the podium, Summer Norris, Lady Rebecca, Alan Fletcher, Jeroen van Wijk, and Peter van der Hulst. Please, all of you, get ready because I'm very proud to pronounce thee as Dame Trail Boss of Woodhill Cove, Dame Rebecca of Pinehurst, Black Knight, Sir Il Pope di Ciclismo, Sir Suzuki from the Dutch city of St. Martin, and Sir Hulse from the Dutch city of Bilthoven. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We've got some perfectly good strawberry lager ale. We also have Geishes and Sake, Rubenesque Women and Rosé. We got Bong Hits and Bourbon, Sparkling Cider and Escorts, Ginger Ale and Gerbils. We got some breast milk and pablum, beer and blunts, Brazilian hotties, and Chichakasha, and of course, the mutton and mead. All of you, congratulations on your new titles. Go to noagendarings.com, and anyone can go there and take a look at these handsome rings for knights and for dames. They're signet rings, so you get some wax to seal your important correspondence with it. And, of course, you get a certificate of authenticity. And thank all of you for stepping up, for becoming knights and dames of the No Agenda Roundtable. It is very much appreciated.
No Agenda Meetups.
We got a couple of meetups. Nothing today as expected, it being Easter. But on Tuesday, the Ozarks Deconstruction Zone will meet at 6 o'clock at Lindbergh's Tavern in Springfield, Missouri. And on Tuesday, the Irish Bar Fun Times, Round 2, 6 o'clock at Paddy Coyne's Irish Pub. That's in Bellevue, Washington. Then our next show day on Thursday, Shawagunk Ridge Meetup, number 7. 6:30 at Bacchus Restaurant, Brewery, and Billiards in New Paltz, New York. We're going all the way through May now. I mean, it's actually, some of these things go far out into the future, but there are so many meetups that I can't even mention all of them just looking at this list. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's probably 40 or 50 on the list right here up until May 26. Go to noagendameetups.com. That's where you can find out where they are. But also consider that this is a great place to meet people, make friends, people who you probably would not run into or might not even, give a second glance. You have no idea how diverse the No Agenda Nation is. You won't know until you go to a meetup. Find one near you, noagendameetups.com. If you can't find one, you can start one yourself. It's easy and always a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Winding down a nice Easter show. Always love working on the holidays. We do it with great pleasure.
We do. We love working on the holidays.
We do it with great pleasure. A programming note, April 26th, I am going in for my third and final procedure, which will be, that's a Wednesday. It'll be 3 hours, and it will be, there will be recovery time. So we did it right up as close to, tried to map it out as best as possible. So there will be no live show on the 27th. Now, does anyone have a best of? Do we still have a best of that we're sitting on? I can't remember.
I think we are, but I don't know where it is.
Or if someone would like to produce something, we'll be happy with that, because we're hoping that I'll be okay for the show on the Sunday after that. But there's no guarantee, because this is where I get all of the posts rammed into my head, and then there's 3 months of recovery, and then all that crap will be behind us, and I will look like Jaws. From the James Bond movies. Or maybe just a...
There's a reference for you.
Right? Hey, at least I'm not pulling crystals. Let's be honest about it. You got any ISOs for today?
I do. I've got 3.
Oh, let's hear them.
Let's start with ISO Bean.
Ben, what it is. Ben, what it is.
That mugging us?
Ben, what it is.
I can't even hear what that is.
Okay, it's no good then.
No.
Okay, try this one. Log off.
Please log off.
That's cute. I like that.
And then thanks.
Thanks so much.
Dry. I like that. Well, I got one. I got 2 here.
What knockers?
No, that's Gene Wilder. That's no good. You can't hear it. And this is the only other one I have. It's.
What do you have, like a non-functioning amygdala?
What do you think of that one?
I like it, but I wish it was clearer.
What do you have, like a non-functioning amygdala?
It's pretty clear.
Okay. Well, if you want to run that one, I'm good with it.
Okay. Well, we'll do that one.
I have one last clip.
Good. I'm glad you did. We need something to throw out to leave on a high note.
Yeah, it's kind of a high note. NPR, they've condemned recently.
How can that be a high note?
And Tucker went after him.
Uh-oh.
Which is very funny to watch, because they've been going after him, so he returned the favor.
Of course. Yes.
And then, of course, they got rid of all these podcasters, these ethnic podcasters, and now it's a big stink, and everyone's bent out of shape. So what are they going to do? Because they do have slots to fill.
Oh, no.
So what are they going to do to keep their podcasting reputation alive, and at the same time, fill these slots? Well, they're going to do this, the NPR Podcast Contest.
Hey, NPR listeners. NPR's Student Podcast Challenge is back, inviting students from around the country to create and submit a podcast for a chance to have their work featured on NPR. Click to learn more and listen to stories from past winners. Support for NPR and the Student Podcast Challenge comes from Progressive Insurance. Get a quote online at...
Wow. How this is a trend. It's not just them. Other podcast networks are doing this, including the BIPOC Podcast Network. And I think the Podcast Academy... It's so hard. So here's what's going on. There's no money left at the moment in advertising. Well, there is, of course, but there's not enough for anyone to live off of, because where's all the money going? It's going to TikTok. Hello. It's also hurting podcasting, no doubt about it. And so all these podcast networks are doing contests. Oh yeah, and we'll produce your podcast. Oh man. How lame is that?
It's pretty bad.
Wow.
Hey, kids.
That's so sad. Well, none of that on noagendastream.com, which, of course, is the best podcast network in the universe. Hello. We are the best podcast network in the universe. I find it hard to believe, actually, that they're doing that. Coming up next on that best podcast network in the universe is the Millennial Media Offensive. That's episode number 66. And we have end of show mixes from Matty J and Jesse Coy Nelson. And they're quite good. And coming to you from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm keeping my CBD, but wondering about it, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here with another episode of No Agenda. Happy Easter, everybody. Until then, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Adios, mofos. A hooey hooey and a such.
Sustainable, nutrient-dense, and delicious.
Our current agricultural practices are not going to stand.
About a quarter of all greenhouse gas emissions are emitted due to the food system, so it's a major driver of climate change.
How dare you! To produce this amount of meat, you could actually get 2 kilograms of edible insects.
Cutting down on meat is a good thing.
There's heart attacks, strokes, Alzheimer's disease, almost all cancers, reduces erectile dysfunction, macular degeneration, eye problems. We get multiple things.
To save the planet.
The UN addressed the issue of food scarcity, eating within our environmental limits. Their answer was with edible insects.
A culinary delight.
Specifically crickets. We call them the gateway bug.
1,000 Australian schools now being fed insects.
Crickets use 2,060 times less water, produce 80 times less methane, and use less than 1% of the comparable landmass.
Crickets do not have any known viruses that can affect them. Chips made out of crushed crickets.
Oh, yum.
Change won't happen without you changing.
How dare you!
Pound for pound, crickets to beef.
Crickets actually contain more protein than beef without any of the environmental damage.
Entire ecosystems are collapsing.
Western culture is the fringe.
The appetite for crickets is only going to grow.
There are over 1,900 types of edible insects.
How's the grasshopper?
Amazing.
Black ants will give a really good savory flavor to it.
Manchurian scorpion, lobster frittata.
Again, pound for pound, twice as much protein, twice as much iron. All the cool kids are doing it. You might as well be eating bugs.
Cockroach milk.
You've seen 2016's exciting and unforgettable Star Wars and the Wig.
My administration is reclaiming America's heritage as the world's greatest spacefaring nation. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to establish a Space Force.
You marveled over 2020's The Neo-Lib Empire Strikes Back with Darth Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Joe, I wouldn't talk if I were you. Remember when you tried to take me behind the gym and teach me a lesson?
Didn't I knock you out in one punch?
No, Joe. You got confused and started fighting a crackhead in an orange shirt.
Now get ready for 2024. Return of the Wig.
He's horrified. He's just talking big. The walls are closing in.
Please help Trump. If you can afford $5 or $10, if you can't afford $1 fine, just pray. And if you got any money to give it.
Return of Donald the Wig. Will he pick an Ewok as his VP?
Misa Kochats and Pinks.
They had to take the top of my head off a couple times, see if I had a brain, but it was a snowstorm and I had a cranial aneurysm.
It's alive!
I got hairy legs.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
What do you have, like a non-functional